Today had waited so long to play for a championship. Coach Chuck Noll built the club, and the man from Louisiana, Terry Bradshaw, ran it. We can call you the crown prince of the Super Bowl. You played in 4 of them. You've been successful in all 4 of them. And I want to talk about that first one. To begin with, what was it like sitting down in the dressing room, down in the bottom of the stadium, waiting to go out that first time?
Well, actually, when I was in the stadium was when I got comfortable and relaxed, because then we had gotten away from the outside. We'd gotten away from you people. And the media and the fans grabbing at us, and for once all 45 people, all players were together by themselves, and that's when I got comfortable.
So going into your first one, you guys were confident. You thought you'd beat Minnesota.
Yes, we did. I think we were the only ones that thought we would beat them, but we, being underdogs and the only Super Bowl that we were underdogs in, I felt like, and everyone did, that we weren't going to lose.
Now you were up 2-0 at halftime.
Big score.
Right, big score. And then in the third period, you recovered a fumble, and then you started just giving the ball to Franco, and Franco just did all the rest.
Well, I think he carried the ball probably every play. All we did was trap up the middle.
Well, I want you to hear one play, particularly, and see if you remember it.
Bradshaw giving it to Harris, getting a key block for Mullins, running to the left, turning the corner, he's in there for a touchdown for Pittsburgh. Jerry Mullins gave him the block. Mullins pulling and blocking for Franco Harris. Harris running wide to the left, walk into the end zone for the touchdown, and the Steelers are on the board with their first TD of the afternoon.
Your first Super Bowl touchdown. First handoff to Harris.
Right.
Do you remember what it was like?
I remember the play. It was Jerry Mullins was right guard and did an excellent job of kicking out of the linebacker. The ends crashed, and there was a big hole there, and
Franco did the rest.
He did the rest. It wasn't really that hard to run it.
Okay, you didn't have to do it.
I watched it, though.
Well, you came right back the very next year, and you were in one tough ball game against Dallas, weren't you?
We were. Dallas was a football team in Super Bowl X that had gotten there with a great play from Staubach to Pierce,
and they came in top, and they took a lead on you right in the first period, and then you guys came back. Listen.
Bradshaw rolls right, puts it wide open in the end zone. Randy Grossman takes it for the touchdown. They crossed him up. They had 2 tight ends, and they had Mullins going in motion, cutting into the line, and Dallas was geared for the run. They did not get the run. Bradshaw took the ball, went quickly to Randy Grossman, the second-year National Temple, wide open in the end zone for a Pittsburgh touchdown.
All right, it was tight flood right. Grossman was the tight end, and what we had set up all year long was the wing back would go in motion, and we would run a tackle trap. Looked like a run, came out, Randy was wide open.
But in those last 2 Super Bowls, you had big games. The one against Dallas, the one against Los Angeles against the Rams. You were the one with big games. 4 touchdowns in one, big yardage in the other one.
We attacked. We used that offense and became explosive, and I felt like that was how we were going to win, because by then our defense started tailing off, and our offense had picked up the slack.
Looking back on those 4, obviously you enjoyed all 4 of them. Obviously the last 2 more than the first 2, perhaps, because you were
more
at that
involved.
time. You were more involved, and you were a veteran then.
Right.
Which was the one you felt you enjoyed the most?
Super Bowl 13. I truly felt for once in my life that I had all that hard work and dedication and never giving up. It culminated in that game, and I felt as if I were a complete quarterback.
At this point, let's take 5 seconds for station identification. He was Broadway Joe Namath, the quarterback who led the Jets to an upset win over the Baltimore Colts and gave the AFL parity. But at his induction into the Hall of Fame, Namath tearfully recalled another legend.
At the University of Alabama, I was mighty lucky to be working under a gentleman named Paul Bryant. Coach Bryant, Mrs. Bryant, wherever you are. We miss you.
Unlike Joe Namath, his flamboyance was limited to the football field. It was Roger Staubach, the man from Annapolis, the naval officer, who came out of service and led the Dallas Cowboys to a pair of Super Bowl wins, and the man who thoroughly enjoyed sitting with the legends at his induction into the Hall of Fame.
We got to tell them sea stories yesterday at our table with Deacon Jones and Sam and Ray Nitzke, and see, there was a whole crew there. Frank Gifford was there.
after day.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, where a growing list of legends are setting up shop. A list that is expected to grow by at least 4 by a day after tomorrow. The 7 finalists: Len Dawson, Paul Horner, Ken Houston, Willie Lanier, Don Maynard, Doak Walker, and Fran Tarkett. Don Smith, who is vice president of the Hall, is keenly interested in this growing family. He's probably seen many future entrants because he's also been official statistician of Super Bowls 2 to 20. Don, you have seen 18 of the 19 previous Super Bowls. How has the game evolved, the game itself?
Well, first of all, let me say that the game, I suppose, has evolved from the number of people coming to attend the game, to cover the game, and so forth. I first worked at the Super Bowl and Super Bowl II in Miami after the 1967 season, and it was a comparatively small thing compared to today.
Did the people who worked on the game back then ever get any kind of an idea or concept of what it would grow into?
Oh, I don't think so. I think that everyone thought that they would make it into the big game of pro football, but make it probably the major sports event in the world every year. I doubt if anyone really realized that would happen.
You take great relish now out of these games.
Well, you really do. It's, I suppose, a matter after you've been involved with it so long that it does become a highlight of your year. There's no question about that.
Don Smith. Now let us take you from the sublime to the ridiculous. From the vast stadiums, the big bands, the buxom cheerleaders, the roaring thousands, and the tailgate parties, the championships and the trophies, to the pitted sandlots. No, even below that, to the streets, where the game is called association, or one-hand touch, or two-hand touch. If you've ever been a kid in a city, you know the game. Bill Cosby from Philadelphia, he knows the game. He played it.
We played street football right there on the street, and this is where we had the greatest quarterback in the world. Our quarterback, he had to control 23 men on a side, and he was really great at it. You women don't know anything about it. You played with dolls and stuff like that. But here's a guy with an ingenious mind. He'd call a football play like this. He'd always get down on one knee and draw things. You know, he'd take a Coke bottle top. Now, Shorty, this is you. This is a Coke bottle. I don't want to be the Coke bottle. Okay, what do you want to be? I want to be the piece of glass. Okay. Now, listen to this now. Arnie, go down 10 steps and cut left behind the black Chevy. Filbert, you run down to my house and wait in the living room. Cosby, you go down to 3rd Street, catch the J bus. Have them open the doors at 19th Street. I'll fake it to you. There was that one fat kid they never thought of. What about me? You go long. A lot of good plays going like that.
It was 19 years ago, the Los Angeles Coliseum, when Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers destroyed the American Football League's Kansas City Chiefs and made Super Bowl I their private preserve. When pressed on the matter of the Chiefs and the new league, Lombardi was almost contemptuous.
That's a good football team, and it doesn't compare with the National Football League teams. That's what you want me to say, I said it.
This is the NFL on NBC. It was Green Bay 35, Kansas City 10 in Super Bowl I, and the new league was not only smarting over the loss, but over the Vince Lombardi claim that the NFL was a stronger league than the AFL. Original AFL owner Billy Sullivan of New England wasn't ready to concede anything.
I felt, frankly, there's no question that the Green Bay Packers were better than the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think that there were some teams in the NFL that the Chiefs would have beaten, and I think that maybe the Green Bay Packers would have beaten all of the teams in the AFL.
NBC is providing full coverage of this 20th Super Bowl, and we in radio thought it might be nice to let you have a peek at the guys who'll be bringing the action on television and what they're like away from the cameras. Dick Enberg, who gets older and better, and who was a spectator at Super Bowl I in Los Angeles, he'll provide the clear-cut action.
1967, and they had about 3,000 in the Coliseum, and everyone said, well, this is just an NFL chance to show that the AFL is really a secondary league, and that was true of the second year as Lombardi's Packers won again. It was fun. We were looking through some of the events of 1967 and the movie of the year, and it was one of my all-time favorite movies, and boy, 20 years ago in
ask you who you think is going to win, but which of all of them that you've done or seen was your favorite?
I think the one that I'll remember most was Super Bowl 15 in Miami, the 35-31 Steeler win over the Cowboys, because my position was up on the roof of the Orange Bowl, and we had tornado warnings in the morning and a terrible rainstorm, and it left the roof with about 3 inches of water, and the winds were about 35 miles an hour. I said, here I am coming on before all these millions of people, and I want to look good and sound right. The wind is blowing all my papers away. In fact, the rumors were that my hairspray won an Emmy Award that year.
Well, for better or for worse, there will be no wind and no rain for Super Bowl 20.
That's right. There is a tumult, though, and this hurricane preceding the game. And now that we approach the kickoff, this is the best time. I can see why players say, just get the game. Let's get into the game. Because after the first couple of hits, once we get those starting lineups out of the way, now it's bliss.
And then there's Merlin Olsen, the gentle, articulate giant who was a former NFL star. He brings the viewer the precise picture of not so much what is going on the floor of the stadium, but why it is happening and what can be expected to happen next. This game brings him special satisfaction.
One of the things I enjoy about this particular game is that we have two teams here that bring a whole new group of people to their first Super Bowl. And I can look down on that field and sense some of the excitement because I know how much it hurt me not to get there. I'm glad we have new faces here. And I did miss not being able to play in that game.
Now, twice in your career, you came within one game. There's no way I can describe a feeling to the listener of how I would have felt if that had happened to me, but you certainly can. How did you feel?
Crushed. Empty. I don't think I was ever lower in my life. I don't think I've ever felt as hollow as I felt after that first championship game that we lost up in Minnesota. And I can never forget walking across a cold, empty parking lot and not even caring that it was below zero, not even caring that somebody had stole my coat. I mean, it was to make matters worse.
The wounds have healed, obviously, but obviously there's still some scars.
I would hate to feel that not playing in a Super Bowl would cast a pallor over my career, and I've certainly learned to put that into perspective. I loved playing football. It did many good things for me. It allowed me some fantastic opportunities, and really became a stepping stone to what I'm doing today. So the game didn't cheat me, even though I never got to the big one.
Dick Edberg and Merlin Olsen have been to Super Bowls before as broadcasters, but only 4 of the 45 New England Patriots have lived through this scene as players. Lineman Guy Morris, tight end Derek Ramsey, wideout Greg Hawthorne, and place kicker Tony Franklin. But then there's the veteran of veterans, defensive end Julius Adams, playing in his first bowl after 15 years. He has survived bad times with the Patriots, and he wanted to join a player exodus.
Last year, I really wanted to get out of here.
When did it start turning around? Was it middle of last year when Coach Berry came in? Early part of this year when you started running this string together?
No, last year when Coach Berry came in, you had that sense that this team can, win some ball games. And Coach Berry said he came here to win, not to build. And that's what gave me a good feeling, because my future's now. I don't have, looking forward to the future talking about building. So I was able to adjust to what he had said, because he's here to win, and that's what I wanted to do.
Who are you going to be specifically matched up against?
Jim Colbert.
Do you think you can handle a guy like that?
I've been playing this league for 15 years. I feel if I can't do my job, I'd let one of the other guys come in and do it.
Right now he is doing his job, and so is the rest of the Patriots defense, coming here with a reputation for takeaways. But the awesome Bears defense is getting the publicity. New England cornerback Raymond Claiborne says they deserve it.
The Chicago Bears have proven that they are the number one defense in the National Football League. So why not give them the credit? Let them have it. But we're going to show them on Sunday who's a better defense out there, and our offense is going to move the ball on those guys, and I'm pretty sure of it. And we're going to go out there and we're going to win that ball game.
Back in Game 2 over the regular season, they took you 20-7. What's the difference between now and back then?
I believe our offense is much better. We didn't rush for anything in that game.
we had a few letdowns in spots. I think on both sides of the ball we're playing consistently now. I think that our offense is definitely more consistent. Our defense has been very steady over the past 3 to 4 weeks. So I think that we're a different ball club from when we played them in the second game of the season.
Well, then obviously from that point to this point, your confidence in Eason has grown considerably.
Oh, definitely. Tony has performed so well during the playoffs. It's been a bounce face. It's been a tremendous lift for us. I think that throughout the playoffs, we've had two most valuable players, one on offense and one on defense. Eason on offense and Ryan Lippert on the defense.
Quarterback Tony Eason, out of the University of Illinois, ironically, completing his third NFL season with New England. He began as a starter, had his problems, and then was hurt and replaced by the veteran Steve Grogan. Grogan put the Pats on the high road, and when he was hurt in turn, Eason came back and kept them there. The young quarterback's confidence has grown, and his teammates believe in him. But now Eason faces a Bear defense that at times, well, what shows what amounts to an 8-man front.
Usually when they put 8 people up there, they got some space in back to get the ball to, and I'm all for that.
Well, that was obviously my next question. You are basically a running team, and yet you are going to have to do something to loosen them up defensively.
We're not basically a running team. We're basically a balanced team. I think the last 3 games, especially in the second half, we've ran the ball. We ran it so effectively that we just chewed up a lot of time running the ball because the scores dictated it. But we like to stay balanced, and I don't think he's conservative at all in terms of just letting it all air out and move the ball up and down the field.
Are you hinting to me then that you might be throwing on first down?
We're throwing on every down. Our goal is so they don't know what we're going to do, and keep them off balance and change things up, throw a run, whatever it takes.
How confident are you?
I think everybody feels real good. We're playing a very fine football team, and you got to play your best to give yourself a chance to win, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
But despite Eason's denials, the Pats have begun their victories with a run, hacking the mail into the heart of the enemy. Mosi Tatutu, Robert Weathers, Tony Collins, and of course 1,000-yarder Craig James. The Patriots' running game is fronted by a solid offensive line led by John Hanna. All are vicious blockers. But the Bears shut down running back Joe Morris and shut out the Giants, shut down the great Eric Dickerson, James' old running mate at SMU, and shut out the Rams. Is James intimidated?
As a fan, I think I would be intimidated by the Bears, as I would have been for the Raiders. But as a player, they still put their pants on the same way that I do. In the NFL, all guys know how to hit and run. And I know it's going to be a challenge. They've shut out some great runners and great offensive teams. So it's a challenge just this week to strap it on a little tighter and make sure we know our game plan.
Well, back at game 2 when you lost to them 20-7, you caught a long one on them, rolling out of the backfield. Can we expect to see something like this?
If they give us a chance to do that again, we'll do it.
You're a team that seems to have been tempered like steel on the road, playing on the road. They're coming off a bunch of home games in the playoffs. I know this is a neutral site for both of you, but it's like a road game for you guys again.
Well, yes, it's a road game, and yet it feels like a home game for us. We're used to being on the road. We were at home last week practicing, and things it was out of whack. We didn't know how to act. Dressing in my own locker, it was different. That was an adjustment for us. So, we're glad to be on the road again. This is our place. I heard Coach Berry say his theme is Willie Nelson's song. On the road again. We need him here singing it. Just can't wait.
O.J. Simpson, the name synonymous with speed, deception, and yardage. And yet, with the eagerness of a young, wide-eyed rookie, like joining the Hall of Fame club.
I want to say to the Hall of Fame members here, I mean, you don't know what this is, to walk around here. You wonder, do you belong with this group of guys? I see Nitschke and Lenny Moore and Doug Atkins and Sam Huff and my hero, Gale Sayers over there, Dick Knight, Train Lane. And, as a kid, I watched these guys and I read about them, and, I figured I must have done something good or something right to be here, and I just want you to know that I'll never let you guys down, man. I'll live up to the honor of being in this hall and being on your team.
It is impossible to contemplate a Super Bowl without the media hype. But actually, only 16 writers have covered all 20 Super Bowls. One is syndicated columnist Jerry Eisenberg, who probably better than anyone else puts his finger right on the game's evolution.
On Friday, the commissioner had his press conference, his state of the state press conference. And he filled the ballroom. And And it's always that way. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people packed in this room to listen to this guy deliver the State of Pro Football message. The 2 days before Super Bowl I, Pete Rozelle held his pre-Super Bowl press conference. Maximum 20 people, 20 writers in the room.
The Chicago Bears have reached a championship game after more than 22 years. George Halas is gone now, but the tradition continues. The Halas-McCaskey family is still in charge, and the epitome of the Bears, Mike Ditka, is the coach. As we said, like the Patriots, this is the Bears' first Super Bowl, and they come in with even less experience than New England. Only tackle Andy Frederick, playing at the time with Dallas, has been to a Super Bowl. But the Bears are here now, and they got here the way all monster of the Midway teams did it, with a hard-nosed defense. Guys like cornerback Leslie Frazier, who remembers his last encounter with New England back during the season's second Sunday. Then, a 20-7 Bears victory, and Frazier says back then, the Pats came out throwing.
They came out that first ball game, September 15th, throwing every down. But the second half of the ball game, they came back running every down. So I'm kind of mixed up as far as what they're going to try to do, but we want to try to be prepared during this week for anything, whether they come out throwing the ball up, passing the ball, or running the ball.
Well, they know what you did against running teams like the Giants and the Rams, so you got to get the feeling that they're going to try something different.
Well, they may, but at the same time, this is what's gotten them to the Super Bowl, running the football, and it would be hard for me to imagine that they would want to come in and all of a sudden ditch what has gotten them to the Super Bowl and try something different all of a sudden.
What are you thinking of personally as to your mark for this game on Sunday?
Just going out there, just concentrating. If I'm able to concentrate on what I have to get done, I don't think I have any problems. But if for some reason I have a lack of concentration because they're running the ball on us and thinking more of the run than the pass, I think that could be a problem.
Maybe it's because you guys are out there where everybody can see it. It's like one small mistake and you guys look bad.
That's right. That's the way it is. That's the nature of the corner. And you have to have some people who have the guts and the attitude that if it does happen, if the ball does come my way, well, I'm going to make it happen.
Dent, Hampton, Hartenstein, Perry, Wilson, Singletary have already become defensive legends in Chicago. But the Bears score points on offense, and they can strike long with receivers like Willie Gaul. Willie Gaul, once an international track star and Olympic hopeful, now a wideout for the Bears and a Super Bowl hopeful.
They're both the ultimate as far as that sport goes. The Olympics is the ultimate as far as track and field, and the Super Bowl is the ultimate as far as football goes. So they're very similar, but they're very different. Football is much more of a team game. You'll remember probably, as long as you live, what you do as a team. In track, of course, you'll remember the Olympic gold medal because it's the biggest thing.
When you get to this point, it's not the money anymore. It's the pride and of accomplishment and the desire to finish it off.
Well, that's really true. I mean, it's the accomplishment, the pride, but the money buys bread for the table, so it's not bad.
All right, last time you met these guys, it was early in the season. You beat them 20-7, and you were what? You caught one for 43 yards, but it seemed that the passing attack at that time was spread around among a number of guys.
Oh yeah, we were probably at our best as far as the passing. The first couple of 4 games, we were averaging over 300 yards a game passing, and we're doing a real good job. They have a very fine team. They're much more aggressive than they were earlier.
Up to now, Gauld has attracted single coverage. That could change today. The Bears reached the playoffs in 77 and 79 and went nowhere. And so, when they reached the NFC final last year and were shut out by San Francisco, there were Bears fans who figured, well, another down season in 85. But running back Walter Payton, who labored fruitlessly through so many years, told us that the loss to the 49ers was the trigger.
We just use that as a motivator all year to get us prepared for what we've accomplished so far. Not only did we not just want to get there, we wanted to have the first playoff game in Chicago and the last playoff game in Chicago, and that was the championship game, and we accomplished those things. Now, we're not satisfied with just being in the Super Bowl. We want to win it.
Well, and when I talk to your teammates, they're not only playing for pride and the money and the ring, they're playing for Walter.
Well, it's flattering for those guys to say that, and I take it in stride because I've been with them all this year and last year, and the commitment that they have made not only to excellence and to themselves, but to the city of Chicago. It's just unbelievable, and to be a part of that, like I said, it makes you kind of watery-eyed.
Well, You beat them 20-7 earlier in the year. Do you expect any different defensive looks this time?
It doesn't matter what the score was last time we played them. You know, this game is the ultimate of what football is all about. Everybody dreams about getting here, and once you get here, you have to throw all the records out of the book. I think this game is basically played on desire and emotion, and the team that wants it the baddest and the team that is prepared for it's going to win it.
Okay, for so long you were the only soldier in Chicago. Now you've got other soldiers to help you.
Well, you know, we have a lot of different ways to attack you and a lot of different ways to win ball games. A lot of individuals with a lot of talent, and you just can't key on one individual and say, well, we're going to stop the Bears because we have so many offensive weapons. And fortunately for us, the defense has gotten into the game. They've scored a lot of points for us also.
Now, don't expect to hear any surprises from the Bears. They come in a 17-1 ball club, and what they will be saying to New England is, this is what we do. We do it well, and you will have to show us that you have solved our defensive and offensive patterns to get us to change. The Bears say they are not overconfident but dedicated, not cocky but colorful, and above all, are no longer losers. At this point, let's take 5 seconds for station identification. We're almost done now. Almost ready to switch up to the broadcast booth where Don Criqui and Bob Truppy are standing by to bring you all the play-by-play action. Right after I remind you that the executive producer of NBC Radio Sports is Jack O'Rourke. The Super Bowl pregame show was produced by Richard Bond and Len Weiner, directed by Mr. Bond. Engineering provided by Henry Macrin, who is 50 years old today. Happy birthday, Henry. By Larry Schmagen, Bob Riggio, and Joe Habig. Tape editing done by Mike D'Souza, Allison Vogel, and Henry Macklin. Yours truly, Stan Martin, wrote the show. It's some moments from game time, the crowd revving up. But what's it like for the players in the catacombs of the Dome waiting to come out? Well, former Miami quarterback Bob Greasy says, at first, before Super Bowl VI, he and his teammates were higher than kites. But then,
the closer to the game, the quieter the locker room got. And then, of course, when Don Shula gave his final talk to go out on the field, there was a lot of hooping and hollering, and we went out, but we were still a little bit off the ground. When the first play was run, everybody's feet were back on the ground, and then you just go from there.
This is the NFL on NBC.
Biggest game in American sports, Super Bowl 20, as the Chicago Bears, champions of the National Conference, meet the New England Patriots, winners of the AFC. Today's game is brought to you by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. By Sears, where you'll find great values. There's more for your life at Sears. By Businessland, where business people are going to buy computers. By Diamond Coolers, the delicious full flavor line of coolers made with California white wine. And by General Motors, whenever you're on the road, please remember to buckle your life belt. In New Orleans, after 2 weeks of drum-beating Bob Trumpy, it's time to play football. The Bears come into this game, as we all know, a substantial favorite in some quarters by as many as 11 points. But the Patriots seem to be surprisingly optimistic going in.
Don, there's no question the Patriots feel that they are on a roll. Maybe the 2-week layoff helped them in one way to prepare for this Chicago Bear defense, but in another way it may have hurt a little bit, because there's no question that the New England Patriots winning 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl against 3 very stiff opponents, and of course breaking that jinx down in Miami, beating Miami in the AFC Championship game. There's no way you can tell if it adds rust or if it takes rust off. The one thing I can tell you, the New England Patriots all week here in New Orleans, very relaxed, very much in their routine, everyone in character.
One interesting aspect of the Super Bowl being played with the week's delay, it's so everybody can be healthy. Unfortunately, a flu bug has hit players on both sides. New England quarterback Tony Eason practiced very lightly, is said to be feeling better today. But a very integral part of the Patriot team, center Guy Morris, is very weakened by the flu.
He's the long snapper, a most important part of the Patriots. They could have to go to a backup there, and it could send the timing off. He also snaps on the field goal and extra point attempts. On the other side, Dennis McKinnon of the Bears reportedly was a doubtful starter in the middle of the week with a hip pointer. Watching him on the field, Trump, he ran very well.
Yeah, both teams, too, did a very smart thing, I thought, Don, in preparation for this football game. They came out, and it appeared the coaches had told them, don't wear yourself out in the warm-up. When you wait for 2 weeks to play a game of this magnitude, you've got 2 weeks of frustration, 2 weeks of anxiety built out, and you don't want to use it up in the pregame warm-up. So they came out here and they warmed up very gingerly, very quietly, and went about their business. And I remember the last Super Bowl I was here to watch the Philadelphia Eagles play the Los Angeles Raiders, and it appeared to me the Eagles left their football game in the warm-up. Neither team has done that today.
There is a form chart on this game, of course. The Bears and the Patriots did meet early in the season, the second week. We broadcast that game for NBC television at Soldier Field. Chicago won by a not dominant score, 20-7, but they did dominate the football game. Led 20-0 till very late in the game. But the Patriots point out they had 5 new offensive coaches at that point, and the Chicago Bears were really in good form coming off that opening win. And the Patriots got off to the slow start with a couple of injured linemen. John Hanna, their great all-pro offensive guard, didn't play at all. So they think they're a different football team than that one.
No question. They began the season 2-3 and then won 12 of their last 14 games. The New England Patriots are the hottest team in the NFL.
Right now, the playing of our national anthem by the renowned soloist on the trumpet, Wynton Marsalis. On the trumpet with our national anthem. This is the NFL on NBC. Back at the Superdome in New Orleans, Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy on NBC Radio. All set for the biggest game in American sports, Super Bowl 20. In any big game, weather is always a factor, but not in the Superdome. This, of course, an enclosed arena, the biggest in America, seating upwards of 80,000. All these seats gone. Scalpers' prices up to $1,000. Some say $1,500 on the black market for 50-yard line seats during the week. We're going to be back with the opening kickoff. The Patriots and the Bears in Super Bowl 20. This is the NFL on NBC. Back at the Louisiana Superdome at Super Bowl 20. Most valuable players past since the 19 previous Super Bowls are being introduced on the field. They're all here in what is an American football celebration, the biggest game of all. And the Bears are the favorite to win it. But the Patriots, an interesting football team in the late part of the season. They all talk, Trump, about the 3 playoff games they've won on the road, but people tend to overlook they had to beat a very tough team, your old club, in the last regular season game. They had 4 must games in a row to get here.
Beat the Cincinnati Bengals, beat them handily. It's interesting that Raymond Berry, so many other coaches for the New England Patriots have tried so many ways to get the New England Patriots to live up to their collective talents. Raymond Berry has come in here and kind of babysat the ball club, built the ball club with confidence, told them they were good, and this year they've gone out and proved it. The other point I think that's certainly worth making is that there is such a real contrast between these two football teams. The New England Patriots down are probably the most basic football team today you can find in the NFL. They slam it at the line of scrimmage. They play the 34 defense. They play very basic coverages. And, of course, the Chicago Bears, they're high-tech. Their defense is a very chancy defense. Buddy Ryan's got it refined. So it's a contrast as to how these two teams got here and what they played throughout the 1985 season to get to the Super Bowl.
In the Patriot playoff games, they've been a very fundamental team indeed, as you point out. They've been a running ball club. In fact, they've passed about 1/4 of the time. Passing over running for most teams in the playoffs is about even, about a 50% spread, but in the case of the New England Patriots, they've run the ball almost 4-1 in their 3 playoff wins. Tony Eason, when he has thrown, has been very effective, has a quarterback rating in the playoffs of 135 and had perhaps his best game ever when he threw just 12 times against Miami, but hit for 10.
Yeah, Don, I think you made a very valid point. Tony Eason, through 3 playoff games, has averaged 14 pass attempts for those 3 games. And the last game the New England Patriots played was against the Miami Dolphins. They rushed the ball 59 times for 255 yards. And another factor about the New England Patriots and Raymond Berry, they have not hit practice with pads since the week before the Monday night game against Miami. We got the coin toss here.
Red Cashin, the referee, that's a signal honor for Red and his team. They select the officials as Bart Starr's ready to put the coin in the air and does. It bounces on the AstroTurf floor of the Louisiana Superdome. Let's see who gets the call. Red Cashin trying to figure that out. Not going to throw it again, it looks like.
You want the ball?
Bears have won the toss. Walter Payton makes the call. And it sounded like he said he wanted the ball.
Yeah. They are going to take the ball. There were a lot of people who asked Mike Ditka throughout the week whether or not he would want his offense or defense on the field. And he said, we'll take the ball, but I'd like to lose the coin toss.
Coach Ditka knows he's in for a very tough football game. According to some of the reports from the Chicago area, you'd think the Bears could phone in a win. Dan Hampton, the big defensive lineman, said that we're motivated by being a big favorite, being a 10-point favorite, because we want to beat the spread to show how good we are. I don't know if you say things like that before a big game. A lot of teams that have in the past. One Super Bowl game down here in New Orleans between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings. The Chiefs were favored by 17.5 points, but when the smoke cleared, Kansas City had won the game 23-7.
Now, to tell you what, though, the Chicago Bears throughout this season, they've issued challenges to their opponents and then going out and beat their brains out. This is one of the most competent teams I think we'll see on the floor of any stadium playing in a Super Bowl. The New England Patriots like the fact that they're underdogs, too.
I think they do. Bears talk tough, and believe me, they are. They back it up. Now Chicago is deploying to our right to receive. The Bears wearing dark blue helmets, white jerseys with the blue numerals, dark blue pants. The New England Patriots, who will be kicking off left to right in bright red jerseys with white numerals, white helmets and white pants. Tony Franklin is ready to kick it off, and the speed is back deep for Chicago in Willie Golf. And Dennis Gentry.
Don, the butterflies in these kids' stomachs right now got to be the size of golden eagles.
Well, that first hit's going to feel good, and they're going to have it right now as Easton has the ball teed up to our left. He's moving into the ball. He's into it. A high spinner to the far side of the field. Willie Golf to the 7-yard line. Cuts back to the middle across the 10. Patriots pursuing, knock him down inside the 20. They get Willie Golf with a hard hit at the 18-yard line. Golf took the ball on the far side of the field, the right side. He cuts back to the middle, and then was hit with a jarring shot by linebacker Johnny Rembert, and Mosey Tatupu also on the tackle. As we look at the Chicago Bears on offense, Jay Hilgenberg, a Pro Bowler, is down over the ball at center. Jim Covert and Keith Van Horn are the tackles. Mark Boritz and Tom Thayer are the guards. Jim McMahon breaks the huddle at quarterback, wearing gloves. Matt Suey and Walter Payton are his runners. Dennis McKinnon is in to start the game, along with Willie Golf. At tight end is Emery Moorhead. Chicago Bears going right to left, first and 10 from the 18-yard line. Pitch back, Payton runs near side, left side. He breaks it across the 20. And Walter Payton's out to the 24-yard line. So on the first down, a quick pitch from near side. Walter Payton with some good blocking. Breaks it for a 6-yard gain. Steve Nelson made the tackle.
And I noticed the New England Patriots started the game with a blitz. Came with both guys on the outside trying to disrupt the Chicago offense as best they possibly could. A good block on McGrew, and Walter Payton got outside.
Defensively for the Patriots, Garen Veras, a rookie from Stanford, Lester Williams and the veteran Julius Adams across the 3-man front. Andre Pippett, defensive player in the year in some polls, backs the line at one side. Blackman at the other, inside backers, Nelson and McGrew. 2nd and 4, handoff, and Payton fumbles the ball. Free ball, and the Patriots have it at the 19-yard line of Chicago. Walter Payton hit with a jarring tackle, and so the Patriots in 3 playoff victories, forcing 16 turnovers and giving up not at all, come out on the first series and take it away from Chicago. Larry McGrew comes up with the ball. But what a hit on Payton.
Don, I think it was Lester Williams, the nose tackle of the New England Patriots, who beat the center, ran around his block, and Payton had the ball squarely in his hands, but Williams blasted him right on the ball. It laid on the ground for what appeared to be minutes, and McGrew on it. First and 10 inside the Bears, 20 for the Patriots.
We're told Garen Verestrup was the man who made the hit. Now the Patriots with their first possession. Ball spotted at the Chicago 19-yard line. Easton at quarterback. Fakes. He's dropping to throw. Looking to the end zone. He fires deep. Man is open. Lynn Dawson can't hold the ball on the far side of the field at the 8-yard line. 2-play fakes by Tony Easton. Lynn Dawson is down. The tight end who went for the ball. He wasn't hit on the far side. The ball was lofted. It looked as a catchable ball, but he fell going for it. Now he is attended to as he lies face down on the far sideline. Might have twisted a knee.
First snap by the New England Patriots. A good play-action fake by Tony Easton. Held everybody at the line of scrimmage. The tight end got behind him. Got behind the linebacker coverage. I couldn't tell what happened to the tight end whatsoever, but it does appear that it's some sort of knee injury.
He's holding his left knee.
Lynn Dawson is a big receiver for this New England offense. Hate to see him go down on the first snap.
One of their 2 tight ends, Lynn Dawson, and then with Derek Ramsey. Tony Easton play faking on first down as the Patriots force a turnover on Chicago's second play from scrimmage. Walter Payton, who ran for 6 yards and a pitchback with his first carry, took a handoff and was hammered in the backfield by rookie Garen Veres of the Patriots. The free ball was picked up by linebacker Larry McGrew, and now after 1 down and incomplete pass, the Patriots will go 2nd down and 10 at the 19-yard line of the Chicago Bears. 13:54 to play in the first quarter and no score.
And this is exactly what the Patriots hope for, too. They do not want to have to drive a long field against the Chicago Bears. That first play, I think, was probably a play that they decided they were going to run maybe 2 weeks ago. Regardless of field position, they were going to run that play. And they can give the ball to Craig James here and not have any problem getting it in the end zone, because this team runs the ball so very, very well. His knee just gave out.
It just buckled on him.
Yeah, Lynn Dawson's knee just gave out on him on the sideline. Doctors and trainers there to attend to him. He's still not gotten up off the ground.
Still down as the Patriots wait to go from scrimmage again. The 3rd tight end for the New England Patriots is Greg Hawthorne, who was a former running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also plays wide receiver. Lynn Dawson, an 8-year veteran, seems to be in intense pain as he's on the sideline. His knee just gave way as he went for that pass on the far sideline at the 8-yard line of Chicago. So the Bears now find themselves backed up, though, after turning the ball over on their first series.
And I noticed Walter Payton of the Chicago Bears, their running back after fumbling that ball, has gone to the sideline and put gloves on. Jim McMahon has started the game for the Chicago Bears, and he's worn gloves. And did throughout the playoffs, said he threw the ball so darn well he was going to wear him in the playoffs. The Patriots, once again with that turnover, that's now 17 in the playoffs, resulting in 61 points to this point.
And now, unfortunately, a mobile stretcher is being brought out, and they're going to take Lynn Dawson from the field with the knee injury. There's a timeout, an official timeout, 13:54 to play in the first quarter of Super Bowl 20, and there's no score on the board. Back at Super Bowl 20 in New Orleans, Lynn Dawson, tight end for the Patriots, being wheeled off the field on a mobile stretcher after injuring his knee running a pass pattern early in this game. There's no score, but the Patriots are in scoring position. This is Don Quickie with Bob Crumpy on NBC Radio. Chicago Bears got the opening kickoff, and on their second play, a second carry by Walter Payton. A hard hit by Garen Veres, forced the fumble by Payton, and the Patriots recovered. Larry McGrew, an inside backer, got it now. It is 2nd and 10 for New England at the Chicago 19-yard line. Easton drops to throw. He looks, fires over the middle, and it's dropped at the 4-yard line by Stanley Morgan. Coming off the left flank, right over the middle. Morgan was open, and a perfectly thrown ball by Easton was dropped. Singletary was covering, but it had touchdown written all over it.
No question that the receiver had beaten Frazier. Stanley Morgan with that great foot speed. If Singletary's not there underneath the coverage, that's 6 points. 2 plays, 2 passes by the New England Patriots.
Singletary might have gotten his field of vision as he looked back, but now from the shotgun, Eason's ready to go. Standing at the Chicago Bear 25-yard line. Here's the snap. He drops back, takes a look, fires into the end zone, going for the ball is Starring, and he can't get to it to the near side. It is incomplete. So the Patriots fail on 3 consecutive throwing downs after getting the turnover. Now they'll send their field goal unit out. It's very important to see who comes out to snap.
That time the Chicago Bears came with a blitz. Otis Wilson, the one earmark of this Chicago defense is the number of people they have free on quarterbacks. And generally on a blitz, they don't miss. Eason was lucky to get that ball off. He avoided the sack. Franklin on for a field goal. It'll be 36 yards long.
Guy Morris is in despite his bout with the flu. He'll snap. The holder is Tony Eason. It'll be a 37-yard field goal attempt. Hit up and right through the middle, and so the Patriots are on the board. In 19 previous Super Bowls, the first team to score has won 18 times. New England was the first to score today. We'll see what that portends, as right now the score is the Patriots 3 and the Bears 0. Back at the Louisiana Superdome, Don Quickie with Bob Trumpy with the New England Patriots have scored first in this game with 13:41 to play in the first quarter. Tony Franklin of the Patriots, who kicked here in 1980 in the Super Bowl when he played for the Eagles in their loss to the Raiders, just hit a 37-yard field goal straight away through the middle. It was all set up by the fumble recovery. Payton's fumble recovered by Johnny Rembert. Payton's fumble forced by Garen Barris. So now Franklin's ready to kick off for a second time in this game. He'll hit it left to right in his red shirt. White pants, he approaches the ball, drives it downfield again to the far side, and is going to hop out of bounds at the 12, a penalty marker. He'll kick off again from his 30. As we pause 5 seconds for station identification. You pointed out, Trump, that Walter Payton went to the sideline and put on gloves after that fumble.
Yeah, maybe psychologically. It might help him, but through the playoff games, he didn't fumble the ball, and he goes to the sideline to put him on. They work for Jim McMahon. Sweetness is the center of attention for the Chicago Bears. He's played so long, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, and he wants to star today. Already, he's the GOAT.
We've got a long way to go. We're less than 2 minutes old in the Super Bowl 20. As the Chicago Bears now align their return men, Dennis Gentry and Willie Gault, standing at their 10, as after kicking out of bounds, Tony Franklin, who hit the field goal to give New England a 3-0 lead a moment ago, ready to kick off again from his 30. He hits the ball down the middle, a high spinner. It's going to carry over to Gault. He takes it at the 13, cuts up across the 20, far side, puts a move on and gets to the 31. So the Bears get relatively good field position. Rod McSwain was down to make the hit on an 18-yard return.
Don, it appears to me the New England Patriots are kicking the ball to Willie Gault on purpose. He's the one who is the best return man for the Chicago Bears, but I have a feeling New England thinks he'll cough it up, and that's why they're kicking it to him. Dennis Gentry is on the other side. I think he's a little more sure-handed.
Interesting point, because Gault is the breakaway man. He has run back kickoffs. He did one this season for a touchdown that turned the game around against the Redskins. Bears were down 10-0. Gault ran one back 93 yards for a touchdown. The Bears went on to rout the Redskins. First and 10 now. McMahon backpedaling to throw from his 23, stands in, throws near side, and the ball is tipped away. Beautifully done by linebacker Don Blackman, who got a hand on the ball. It was intended for tight end Emery Moorhead, who was running a pattern to the left side to the near side of the 35-yard line of Chicago.
Blackman had him covered, too. That was almost an interception and a sure 6 points if Blackman can hang on to the football. This is a turnover football team, and at this point, the Chicago Bears, other than one run, have shown no life whatsoever.
Patriots have had great pass defense, particularly in the playoffs. Ronnie Lepet and Raymond Claiborne are the corners. Roland James and Fred Marion, who has 10 interceptions, 7 regular season, 3 playoffs. Marion, one of the safeties with Roland James. Now, 2nd and 10 for Chicago. McMahon backpedaling, looking long. Fires down the far sideline. Willie Gault has the ball inside the 30-yard line of New England. At the far side of the field, he's knocked down to the 26-yard line. He beat Ronnie Lepet on a straightaway sprint, and Jim McMahon getting the ball way downfield was right on target to world-class sprinter Willie Gault. A 43-yard gain.
Don Gault ran an excellent pattern. Ran a little out move. It throws Lepet, and all you have to do is make one false step. Gault came through the formation in motion. He's one of the few guys in the NFL that can do that, turn up, and still have the foot speed to outrun most people. McMahon put it right on the money. Chicago's ball, 1st and 10 at the New England 26.
Now the Bears are challenging. They're trailing 3-0 in the first quarter. McMahon with 2 wide receivers set to left. Bears going right to left in the first quarter in their blue and white uniforms. Hand up the middle. Matsui cracks down inside the 20-yard line. He's to the 19 and a straight-ahead power run. The big back from Penn State is finally knocked down by All-Pro Andre Tippett. But the Bears on a straight-ahead play get 7 yards where they spot the ball. It'll be 2nd and 3.
To this point, we've seen some fancy stuff. The New England Patriots throw the ball on 3 successive downs. A long pass from McMahon to Willie Gault, but both these teams like to bang at the line of scrimmage. Both these teams prefer to run.
And the strength of both teams is their defense. 2 of the very best. The Bears grade out as number 1. The Patriots have been just about as good in the recent weeks as they've come on with great play by their defense to turn games around. Here's a handoff. Up the middle is Suey, and he dives down to the 14-yard line. Play fake by McMahon to Walter Payton, who's running wide to the right, to the far side. And then again, a straight-ahead dive play to the fullback, Suey, who's knocked down by Larry McGrew. And so now the Bears have a first down at the 14-yard line of New England.
Interesting that Walter Payton fumbles the ball at the end of the last series. He's yet to get the ball in this series. They're throwing it to Willie Gault, handing it to Matt Suey.
New England leads the game 3-0. They converted a Chicago fumble by Payton. 4 plays later into a 37-yard field goal by Tony Franklin. Now the Bears are threatening. At the 14-yard line, they have it 1st and 10. Pitch back. It goes to Walter Payton. He is knocked down as he gets to about the 12-yard line. Running to his right to the far side of the field. The Patriots sweep him under with Andre Tippett again on the stop, and Steve Nelson, the inside linebacker, and the number 1 tackler for New England, Steve Nelson, combining on the stop.
Don, that's a mismatch. The Chicago Bears tried to take Matt Suey as the fullback and lead block on Andre Tippett. That is an absolute mismatch. There is no running back, including Walter Payton, in the game today who I think can block Andre Tippett. You got to put a guard on him, a tackle on him, or he'll kill you.
Let's see what the Chicago Bears do now. It's 2nd and a long 8. Ball positioned at about the 12-yard line of New England. Jim McMahon going with a long count. He takes the snap. Now he's rolling out, looks to throw, puts the ball up. It's tipped and dropped. The ball was tipped again by Don Blackman at the 10-yard line at the near side of the field. The receiver coming out of the backfield, Walter Payton, appeared to be open front, but Blackman with another big breakup.
So far, this New England defense has done an excellent job in reading what Chicago offensively is doing. They are not biting on the play-action fakes, staying with their coverage, and that's one thing that this basic Rod Russ defense of the New England Patriots is known for. They don't make mistakes. They don't run a lot of defenses, and they just repeat them. Repetition, less mistakes.
Interesting chess game here. Blackman's a blitzer, and I think the Bears are looking to go to his side, expecting him to come on the blitz down inside the New England 20, but he stayed back in pass coverage and broke up another. 3rd down and 8, Chicago. McMahon in the shotgun, drops back to the New England 21-yard line, stands in, looks to run. He does. He's inside the 10, and McMahon is upended and knocked down at the 11-yard line. He did not get the first down. It brings up 4th down as McMahon was spun head over heels on a hit by Ronnie Lepet, and 2 sides start pushing afterwards, and referee Red Cashin gets in, throws no flags, and warns the boys you can leave the Super Bowl if this keeps up.
Well, McMahon likes contact. I think he got about 3/4 of a dose there. Lepet turned him a cartwheel. There was nobody open. There's good pressure on McMahon, and the inside backers came. McMahon just put it away, and Lepet really cartwheeled him.
Now Kevin Butler ready to try a field goal. He'll be trying it from his 8 to the 18-yard line of New England, a 28-yard attempt. Steve Fuller will hold. New England leads the game 3-0. Here's Butler into the ball, spins it up, and he's right on the money. So both teams hit on field goals. A 28-yarder by Kevin Butler of Chicago ties the game with 9:20 to go in the first quarter of Super Bowl 20 on NBC Radio. It's the Bears 3 and the Patriots 3.
9:20 left in the first quarter. Score tied 3-3, but Don, both teams now missed opportunities. The New England Patriots with the turnover and the ball at the Chicago 20 could get just a field goal, and Chicago's 7-play, 58-yard drive ends in a field goal. Big games like this, missed opportunities early, or they give coaches gray hair and players headaches.
But they did come away with points both ways, so again we're even, this time at 3-all. As the Bears are ready to kick off the ball for the first time in the game, Kevin Butler will be kicking it up right to left with 9:20 to go in the first quarter. It's a 3-3 Super Bowl in the first quarter. Here is Butler into the ball, hits a high spinner down the middle of the field. Stephen Starring takes it to the 4-yard line of New England. Starts up the middle, he's across the 15 and the 20. Takes it across the 25 and the 30. He's out across the 35 and he's out to the 41-yard line along the near sideline. Starring with absolute blinding speed, sprinted up the middle of the field, cut to his right to the near side, and raced ahead for a 37-yard return before Dennis Gentry knocked him down. So it'll be 1st and 10 New England at the Patriots' 41-yard line. And now let's see, Trump, if they go right back to that air ball. They've been throwing it.
Well, I don't think they want to. I think they would prefer to run the ball, and they're in the position. They're in the area of the field where they can go to their basic offense. At their own 42, this should be Craig James and Tony Collins.
Pensick comes up tight, and now Dewerson drops back. They're going to go to Morgan before long. He's on the far side of the field. Here's Eason dropping to throw. He looks, fires long, way overthrows his man Starring coming off the right flank. Starring was knocked down to the 40 as the ball flew overhead, the 40 of Chicago. The ball was 5 yards over his head, though.
Don, tough situation now for New England. They got 3 points, and they don't have a first down. And when you throw the ball on first down, you got to go for the high percentage completion so you don't end up 2nd and 10. And that's what the New England Patriots now face.
Right where they are now. Jim McMahon is changing his headbands. Now he's got prisoner of war missing in action. He started with juvenile diabetes cure. So much higher calling on his headband than his previous shoe advertisements. Here now dropping to throw is Tony Eason, looking long from his 34, dumps it over the middle. The ball is dropped to the 42-yard line of New England. Coming back at the ball was Stanley Morgan. He couldn't hold on, and now the New England Patriots go to 3rd down and 10.
Donnie had time to throw. That was a good 7-step drop by Tony Eason and the New England Patriots. The last time that these two teams met, he was sacked 6 times, intercepted 3 times. And that little play-action fake gave him plenty of time. He just threw the ball into the ground. He didn't step forward and fire that ball. That's why it sunk right down to the feet of Stanley Morgan. Incomplete pass, 3rd and 10.
Well, you pointed out, you start throwing on first down, you're in a hole, and now they're in a big one. This is what the Bear pass rush loves, as Eason's in the shotgun. Standing to our left, back at his 35-yard line. Here's the snap. He backpedals, gets some time, and now he's going to be sacked back at the 30-yard line. Nobody open. The Bears came and got him. Otis Wilson came, and so did Richard Dent. Dan Hampton was on the play as the Bears come crashing through the New England forward wall and sweep under Tony Eason. Hampton might have been the first one there.
That was a group sack. He'll give each one of them an 1/8 of a sack because 8 of them were there. There's no question that there was good coverage on the New England Patriot receivers, and we now got 8:48 to go in the first quarter. The Patriots have 3 points, but no first downs.
They're the first team to score in Chicago in the playoffs after the Bears blanked the Giants 21-0, and then the Rams 24-0. It's a 3-3 game. Bears could get good field position. Ortego is back standing at his 26 to return a punt. Camarillo takes the snap for New England, hits the ball at his 22, a high spiral driven downfield. Ortego back at his 20-yard line, takes it, and he's returning the ball and is caught from behind and knocked down to the 28. Beautiful punt and special teams coverage by Rod McSwain after Camarillo drilled it a mile down the field. And so it's going to be 1st down and 10 for the Chicago Bears with this game tied 3-3. Don Craigie with Bob Trumpy back at the Superdome in New Orleans, where we have 8:18 to play in the first quarter. Super Bowl 20 and the score is tied. Chicago 3, New England 3. Both teams getting field goals. The Bears getting theirs on a second possession after on their first possession. Walter Payton fumbled the ball deep in his own end, and New England, after 3 missed passes, hit a 37-yard field goal to take a lead. And the Bears came back on their next possession. The big play was the 43-yard throw from McMahon to Galt, subsequently followed by a Kevin Butler field goal to tie the game. Now Chicago in blue helmets, white jerseys, and blue pants, ready to go right to left from their 28. Here's a play fake. McMahon drops, big rush. He throws hard, far sideline, and the ball is caught off the 48-yard line of Chicago. A big throw and a big gain, over 20 yards on the play. Ball is drilled way out to Willie Galt on the far side of the field. Actually, the ball wobbled a little coming in and came in low, but Galt came back at it.
Lippett in the coverage, and Don, this is this go pattern that Willie Galt ran earlier. He pushed Lippett off and then just turned inside. The Chicago Bears like to get the ball to Willie Galt early. It gets him in the game. If they wait 2 quarters, he doesn't seem to catch the ball as well as if he gets one in the first drive or so. Willie's in the game. Deep threat is there.
The longer the Patriots stay close in this game, the better their chance to win. They have a history of coming from behind. We're down by 10 to the Raiders and came back to win. McMahon rolling out. Big rush against him. Throws on the run. Puts it up for grabs, and it's incomplete. Nicely done by Jim McMahon. He threw the ball away against a big rush. They're booing the throw on the New England side, but McMahon saw nobody open, would have been sacked, so he gunned the ball out of bounds at about the 25-yard line of New England. Put all he had on it.
Dennis Owens pressured him a little bit at the end of the play, made contact with him. Tell you one thing about this McMahon kid. Remember the hit he took by Lepet at the end of the last series? He's back out there playing. He likes to headbutt, and he likes to do what the rest of the members of the team do, and he doesn't mind throwing his body around.
No, but he is eminently breakable. He's proven that. He's never finished a season without missing some games, including this one. Right now, it is second down and 10 for the Chicago Bears. Ball position at their 47-yard line. Game tied 3-3 first quarter. Jim McMahon drops to throw. He's back inside his 40. Now he starts to run up the middle of the field. He's starting to run, and he slides to a halt at the 46-yard line. There's a loss on the play. He's knocked down. They'll spot it down at the 45-yard line of Chicago. McMahon saw good coverage in the Patriots secondary and ran the ball straight ahead, and then slid to a halt when he saw he'd be drilled hard by Julius Adams.
This is a very gifted athlete. McMahon, with all his antics and his sunglasses and his mooning the helicopter and his headbands, he is a very nifty-footed athlete. He gets himself out of a lot of trouble in a lot of instances, and he just avoided a sack there.
He really did. His one-loss record is phenomenal. His last 29 starts, the Bears have won 25 and lost just 4. With McMahon, their starting quarterback. Now on 3rd and 13, he's standing at his 40, ready for a shotgun snap from Hilgenberg. There it is, hand off to Payton, up to the outside, and Payton is knocked down with little gain. He got out to about the 48-yard line as Andre Tippett, the great one on the left outside, number 56, fires a fist in the air. Time and time again, he wasn't fooled, and he drilled Payton. And so on 4th and 10, the Bears have to punt the ball for a first time.
Both teams very active at the line of scrimmage. The New England Patriots bring both Blackman and Tippett in that situation. There was no corner for Walter Payton to run. Tippett on the tackle, a 3-yard gain. They needed 13.
Maury Buford, the punter for Chicago, standing back to our right at his 33-yard line. Deep man is Irving Fryer, the burner from Nebraska. Here is a beautiful punt by Buford, drilled down the field. Fryer lets it hit. It rolls into the end zone for a touchback as a boom punt. 52 yards, carries in, and the Patriots get the ball at their 20-yard line. First down and 10. We have 5:59 to play in the first quarter of Super Bowl 20 on NBC Radio, and the score is the Patriots 3 and the Chicago Bears 3.
Not much is broken, but one thing we know for sure. The team that wants to run the ball, the New England Patriots, has yet to run the ball at all. They've done nothing but throw the ball, do not have a first down. And
total yardage.
Yeah, total yardage 10 to Chicago's 77. The score tied 3-3, and you can't change personalities in 2 weeks for the New England Patriots to win. They got to hammer the ball at the line of scrimmage.
Actually, Trump, they're minus 10 total yards of the Patriots.
Minus 10 total yards.
But the game is tied 3-3, and now Eason sets his team at the 20. They're going to run it here. New England's going to run the ball right here. First and 10 at their 20-yard line. Here is a handoff. Right up the middle goes James, and the Bears stuffed him for no gain. In the first meeting of the season, the way it lined up, I knew they were going to go inside. The Bears had flexed that defensive end. In the first meeting, the Chicago Bears held New England to 27 yards rushing in the entire game, 1.2 a carry.
Note from the New England Patriots bench, Lynn Dawson has a severe knee injury, will not return today. We don't know what the official diagnosis is. That means that Derek Ramsey, Greg Hawthorne must take over or tight end.
Now the Patriots, after their first run, nets them nothing, go 2nd and 10, and Eason drops to throw. Standing in, a big rush, and he's sacked by McMichael. Free ball inside the 15-yard line. It's Chicago's. Van Hampton comes up with the ball. Steve McMichael forced it.
McMichael, a former third-round draft choice of the New England Patriots, cut loose, told by a former coach he can't play in the NFL. He makes the sack on Eason, jars it loose. Dan Hampton comes up with it. And the Chicago players are taking their time coming off the field, watching the replay on TV. They want to watch themselves. These guys are at times a little too cocky.
Richard Dent had a lot to do with that fumble also, and Hampton came up with the ball. So now we have a turnover each way. The Bears fumbling the ball. Walter Payton did on the Bears' first series. New England got 3 on the field goal that followed. The Bears have tied the game, and now they're in scoring position again. It's a 3-3 game first quarter. Chicago going right to left. First down and 10 at the 13-yard line. McMahon sprints out to his right from the 20. He stops and looks. Fires back to the near side. It's caught by Emery Moorhead. Blackman runs at him. And then Emery Moorhead turns inside and gets down to the 6 or 5-yard line at the near side of the field. So McMahon got all the motion going wide to the right as he rolled out that way and then fired back near side. And Emery Moorhead is tight end, gets 8 yards with the reception.
Fred Marion on the tackle and a big block by Dennis McKinnon. Don Blackman was right there to make the tackle. McKinnon stayed with the play, came all the way from the other side of the field just to get a piece of Don Blackman. Ends up being an 8-yard pickup, close to a 9-yard pickup. First and 1 at the 5.
It'll be second down and just about a yard for Chicago. Game tied 3-3. Clock running first quarter. 4:26 to play. The Louisiana Superdome jammed for Super Bowl 20 as the Bears look to break the tie. Second down and 10. I set. Payton's the deep back. Here's a handoff to Payton. Up the middle, puts his head down. He's knocked down at about the 3 or 4-yard line. Dennis Owens, number 98, makes a hard hit for New England right up the middle as Payton followed Suey but didn't get much.
Don, for both of these football teams, I find myself waiting until the official rules the ball dead because both teams turn the ball over so much. The Bears led the NFL in turnovers. The Patriots have 17 now in the playoffs. I mean, until that guy hits the ground, we're not sure he's got control of the ball.
Right, enforcing turnovers, there's none better. The Patriots in their now 4th playoff game with 17 turnovers forced. And that was their first turnover in playoff action. New England, the one that led to this Chicago drive. 3rd and inches for the Bears, 4-yard line of New England. Game tied 3-3. McMahon puts his head down. He's to the 2 on a straight-ahead dive. First down, Chicago Bears as Jim McMahon took the snap from Hilgenberg, legs pumping. He fired into the New England defense for a yard or 2 and got the first down. And so now the Bears are point blank, first and goal at the Patriot 2.
And that was a great job by Thayer and Hilgenberg, the center and guard. I think what the quarterback does in that situation, he reached the dead spot in that defensive front, wherever the middle linebacker is. He just kind of taps the center on the butt, and they go that way. Big first down pickup. Now first and goal for the Chicago Bears.
They have the ball spotted at the 3-yard line of Chicago. The Patriots with Garen Varus and Dennis Owens in the defensive front, along with Lester Williams and Julius Adams. 4 down linemen in now for New England. The linebackers get down in 3 points. As we have first and goal Bears, 3-yard line. Here's a pitch back near side. Payton running for the end zone. He's chopped down at the 5. Lost yardage. The New England defense with great pursuit, led by Larry McGrew, who recovered the first Payton fumble. They penetrate the Chicago blocking and knock Walter Payton down for a loss of 2, just outside the 5. So it'll be second and goal from 5.5 yards away.
Now, once again, they tried to run the corner. Great corner support by Lepet, number 42.
Yeah, he really has made some plays.
Sports could not get out there, the guard, and get a good lick on him. Lepet was there to disrupt the play. The Bears got to go straight ahead at him. This New England defense at the corner with Blackman and Tippett, they're hungry out there. They're not going to get much on the outside.
They did get yards straight ahead. William Perry's in the backfield now for Chicago. Here's a pitch back, and Perry running wide, looking to throw the ball, and they're going to get William Perry down at the 5-yard line. Another loss on the play of about a half yard. The big back who's never thrown in regular season play tries to put it up as he rolled to his right to the far side, and then he saw there was nothing open. He started to run. He was knocked down for no gain, maybe a loss of a half yard. It'll be third and goal now for Chicago at the 6-yard line of New England.
Don, why the call?
I don't know.
Why the call? I mean, that's third down and 5. When Perry goes in the backfield, you know he's not going to run for 5 yards. Everybody in the stadium figures he's going to throw it. He showed it immediately. No one on the Patriots defense was fooled. The chance you take is that he's not used to carrying the ball. He could turn it over.
He had a very shaky position in one hand. Lost a yard, so it's going to be third down and goal for Chicago at the New England 6. The game is tied 3-3.
Watch McMahon here. Watch McMahon. He's a good runner. They got to cover him.
He's had some good games running straight ahead as Jim McMahon. Now he fakes. He's running back. He throws to the end zone. A man is open, but it's incomplete from near side. As McMahon was leveled hard on a blitz. Julius Adams also on the rush, and McMahon against the all-out rush fired the ball to the near side the original start of this first and goal was the 2-yard line, and now it's 4th and goal from the 6.
Whether or not they make the field goal here and Butler on to attempt, that's 3 missed opportunities now. 2 for Chicago, 1 for New England.
Put William Perry in to throw a pass. It would have gotten him some more commercials, but in the end, not a wise call as he did nothing. And now, Butler ready to try a 23-yard field goal attempt, 24 yards. Steps into the ball, he spins it up, and Kevin Butler is good. So the Bears take the lead for the first time, but they don't get a touchdown. With 1:26 to go in the first quarter, the score is the Chicago Bears 6, the New England Patriots 3. Scored and took the lead, but it was a moral victory for the Patriot defense as they stopped Chicago, a team that had a first and goal at the New England 2 and couldn't score a touchdown.
Payton's gotten very little yards. His first rush, I think, was for 8. He has not gained many yards since. And he's a big part of the Chicago Bears running game. Matt Suey is someone that the Bears are going to have to go back to. And the New England Patriots now will get the ball after this kickoff. They have to start running the football. They've rushed it once for no gain. Craig James, you can't change personality in the Super Bowl. You got to use what you got here.
Here's the kickoff by Butler, a high spinner downfield. It is taken by Starring at his 5, starts up the middle across the 10, cuts near side to the right side. He is upended on an excellent special teams play. Wilbur Marshall came down and made the hit. Number 58 after a 13-yard return. And there it will be 1st and 10 for the New England Patriots with the Bears in the lead 6-3.
1:18 to go in the first quarter, and Don, we've yet to have a penalty.
And we yet to have a run for a gain by the New England Patriots. Eason has been having problems getting in long yardage plays after trying to throw on first down and not hitting it. It's a 6-3 game. The Bears are in the lead. 1:18 to play in the first quarter. Patriots ready to go now from their 18. Here's a pitch back. Craig James turns wide to the right. Knocked down in the backfield. The Bears are through and get him. They say they have the ball again, and let's hear the officials. They do. Another turnover by New England. Richard Dent might have knocked it free, so the Bears will try again inside the 15-yard line of the New England Patriots.
Don, you called it. Richard Dent on the tackle. Mike Singletary on the recovery. That was a sweep by Craig James. There were 4 people there for the Chicago Bears. They ran to the linebacker's side. Dent was in there in a hurry, stripped the ball loose. Once again, the Chicago Bears have it at point-blank range. 1st and 10 at the New England 14.
So the Bears offense, let's see what they can do now as Craig James gets the ball and has it knocked away. And the Bears, who just had the ball at the 2-yard line, 1st and goal, but had to settle for a field goal, now have it 1st and 10 inside the 14-yard line of New England. 6-3 Chicago leads first quarter, 1:10 to play in it. Handoff. Suey is chopped as he gets to the 11-yard line. Slant right to left into the New England defense. He's knocked down after a gain of 2 yards.
And I think the Bears are going to have to continue that too. No question, the New England Patriots are keying on Walter Payton running at the corner. They got to keep giving the ball to Suey to take some of the pressure off Payton if they want to get sweetness into this game.
Julius Adams was the man who filled and made the tackle as the game clock is running. 45 seconds to go in the first quarter. The Bears come out of the huddle now in their dark blue helmets and white jerseys, blue pants on the AstroTurf field of the Louisiana Superdome. They have the ball set to go, 2nd down and a long 7 from the 11-yard line of New England. Bears moving right to left. Pitch back. It goes to Suey. Running wide to the right. He turns upfield and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. But a penalty marker's down.
11 yards on the carry. That's going to be defensive offside
against the Bears. Against New England. It's a touchdown. It's going to be against New England, and it is called back. Blackman left early, so the penalty is negated by the touchdown run. The Bears will go in, and they now take a 12-3 lead.
What the New England Patriots are doing is they're locking on to Walter Payton. Matt Suey behind that is getting very little attention. It's a sweep to the far side of the field. There was good pursuit out there, but Suey cuts back inside. No one touches him. Fred Marion finally gets him down in the end zone. First touchdown of the day.
So now Kevin Butler's out to try the point after for Chicago. Snap and set down are good, and so is Kevin Butler's extra point. With 23 seconds to go in the first quarter, the Bears take a 10-point lead after trailing 3-0. They've scored 13 unanswered points in the first quarter. It's 13-3 Chicago, and New England offensively is in serious trouble, unable to do anything against the Chicago Bear defense.
God, I wonder, at what point do you look to Steve Grogan of the New England Patriots?
Soon.
Not saying that Tony Eason has done a thing wrong, and you can't point a finger at him and say he's not having a good game. But you can't let this score get out of hand. The Chicago Bear defense can really take the heart out of you. And if you put Grogan in just a change of personality, maybe, he's the aging veteran, the old general for the New England Patriots, it might help.
So far in offense, Eason's been able to do anything, although he had a sure touchdown off the hands of Stephen Starring, or off of Stanley Morgan's hands, coming out the left flank on that first possession, and he couldn't hold on at the Bears 3. He'd have gone in. The Patriots settled for a field goal, which at the time gave them a 3-0 lead, but since then the Bears, with 13 straight points, have taken a commanding 13-3 lead. We're still in the first quarter. Chicago's Kevin Butler hits the kickoff right to left. A high spinner, far side of the field. Starring takes it at his 8. Far side, he's across the 20, cuts out across the 25, and is knocked out of bounds on the Chicago side of the field. And it'll be 1st and 10 for New England after a 16-yard return. Reggie Phillips made a stop for the Bears on special teams.
I can't repeat enough the fact that the Patriots are going to have to find some way to run the ball. This is just not a team that can go through a game and continue to throw the ball. Tony Eason has averaged 14 attempts so far in the playoffs per game, and right now the New England Patriots are minus 22 yards total offense with 15 seconds to go in the first quarter.
Down. Here's a handoff. Craig James runs and gets out across the 25-yard line. He gets out to about the 27, and a first down carry. He got about 3. Running off the left side where the all-pro players are located. Brian Holloway, the left tackle, and John Hanna, the left guard. Pete Brox, the center. Ron Wooten, the right guard, and Steve Moore, the right tackle. As the time runs out and the gun sounds to end the first quarter in Super Bowl 20 with the score, the Chicago Bears 13, the New England Patriots 3. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy back at Super Bowl 20 in New Orleans. We want to welcome all the American servicemen listening around the world on Armed Forces Radio, listening in Belgium, Holland, Italy, Spain, 50 foreign countries, and 300 ships at sea, as the Chicago Bears have come on strong here in the first quarter. After trailing 3-0, they have taken a 13-3 lead.
Not interesting that last run by Craig James was 3 yards, longest gain of the day by the New England Patriots.
Their only score on a 37-yard field goal. Right now, the handoff. No, it's a play fake by Eason, looking long, fires in the far flank. The ball is tipped away very nicely by Mike Richardson. The left cornerback for Chicago at the far side of the field at the New England 45-yard line stepped in front of Stanley Morgan and slapped the ball down.
Good play-action fake by Eason, throws the linebackers at the line of scrimmage. The amazing thing about this Bear team is most teams look at their defensive backfield and say, you can beat them. If you got time to throw the ball, you can beat them. These guys the corners are primarily in man-to-man, single coverage, isolated out there. But when they need to make the big play, they do. Richardson just did.
Very nicely done by Mike Richardson. The Bears cornerbacks have been in the line, but they've made some big plays in this most successful season. Now on 3rd down and 7, Eason takes a shotgun snap, hands off, and a tackle is made by big Dan Hampton. As soon as the handoff is made to Greg Hawthorne, they tried to get the Bears coming on a blitz and catch him with a running back slipping by, but Hampton was stuffed by Hawthorne was stuffed by Dan Hampton immediately, and so New England has to punt the ball again.
Don, they tried to run the old college counter. He was coming from the wing. Hampton just beat the center, Pete Brock, and was there to almost take the ball. A loss of 4 yards on the play.
And the Bears, who've had excellent field position, should get good field position again as Camarillo's back inside his 10-yard line to punt the ball for New England. Keith Ortego's back deep for Chicago. Bears get a big rush. A tremendous punt by Camarillo again. Ortego back inside his 30, takes it to the 29, starts up the middle, cuts to the far side in front of the Bears bench. He's knocked down at the Chicago 41-yard line. Johnny Rembert was down on special teams for New England, but the Bears, with a 13-3 lead, will have the ball 1st and 10 at their 41 when we come back to Super Bowl 20. 72 degrees in New Orleans, Louisiana. It always is in the Superdome, where the Bears have the ball again here in the second quarter. First down and 10 at their 41 in Chicago. The heavy favorite holds a 13-3 lead over New England in Super Bowl 20. Patriots scored first 3-0, and the Chicago Bears, forcing 2 New England turnovers, scored 13 unanswered points all in the first quarter to take their current lead 13-3.
Don, this has got to be deja vu for the New England Patriots. Last time these two teams met, the New England Patriot defense played well enough to win, allowing Chicago only 20 points, but the offense could generate nothing. Same thing happening today.
We're really seeing just how great the Bears defense is. 2 shutouts already in the playoffs. New England got 3, but since then the Bears have owned them, and they got the 3, forcing a Chicago offensive turnover. First and 10, handoff to Calvin Thomas. He turns upfield and is wrapped down hard at the 42, running wide to his right, to his left. He cut back up the middle and was struck down by New England Patriots. The leading tackler on the play was Larry McGrew.
Corners of the New England Patriots, the outside linebackers, Lepet and Claiborne, have done a great job of support so far in this first half. There is very little yardage being gained outside. The touchdown run by Matsui was started as a sweep, but cut way back over the inside.
Right now, the Chicago Bears set to go second down and 9. McMahon with a quick drop back inside his 35. Fires the ball up the middle. It's thrown completed to Calvin Thomas, a big fullback from Illinois over the middle. He's knocked down hard at the Chicago 45-yard line, driven back by the zone coverage that was behind him. Leading tackler again was Larry McGrew. Also on the stop was Andre Tippett.
Field position in big games often dictates what you do offensively, and so far the Chicago Bears have won that. Their average field position has been at their own 50. This time they started at their own 41, and for the New England Patriots, it's been their own 37.
Bears have the ball now, positioned at their 46-yard line. They send 2 receivers to the left and 2 to the right. It's third down and 5. 12:39 to go in the first half. Snap it goes, and here's a handoff to Dennis Gentry, running wide to his left. He turns upfield, puts his head down, and drives for a first down for Chicago as he's inside the 48-yard line of New England.
Fred Marion on the tackle. Don, the Bears caught the New England Patriots with 6 defensive backs. That's an 8-yard carry by Gentry, and all they tried to do was just get big people on little people. Offensive linemen on defensive backs, and then Gentry got the last 3 yards with a good shoulder down, head down move. Walter Payton with a good lead block. Just another way to run a sweep for a first down.
Tremendous effort by Dennis Gentry, a 4th-year back from Baylor, who took on tacklers and got ahead for the first down to the 46-yard line of New England. Bears in blue helmets and white jerseys and blue pants, moving left to right with a 13-3 lead early in the second quarter. McMahon drops from his 49, outlet pass to the near side to Willie Galton. He's down to the 39-yard line along the near sideline of New England. Gain on the play of 7 yards as Galton made a stutter step, turned upfield, and on a timing pattern, Jim McMahon triggered a hard spiral right into his numbers for the game.
Ronnie Lepet on the coverage. Obviously, they want to isolate Galt as much as they possibly can on Lepet. Galt made a nice little move to avoid the tackle of Andre Tippett, which, forget the athletic part of it, very, very smart. And actually, that was Ray Claiborne, the tackle he avoided. Jumped right inside Lepet there to stop him after an 8-yard gain.
And it's second down and a long 3 now for Chicago. 39-yard line of New England. McMahon rolling out to the near side, to the right side, stops at the 45 of New England, throws to the far side. And the ball is caught by Matsui at the 16-yard line. On the far sideline, he was open. The ball hung. A 23-yard gain results, though, as New England could get in front, the interceptor, knock it down.
That's strange. These Chicago Bears break a lot of adages that are applied to offenses and defenses. Ray Claiborne in the coverage. When you roll to one side of the field, Don, coaches tell you don't throw back across. Don't throw back across, because if there's someone there, they pick it up, they run in for a touchdown. Well, the Chicago Bears roll right, near side, throw back to the left, 23-yard gain, first down Bears.
The Bears could be on the verge of putting Super Bowl 20 away. They lead by 10 in the second quarter, but if they score a touchdown here, they'll not be caught. Most unlikely, particularly with New England's offense totally inept against Chicago. Here's a handoff, a jarring hit, but still a big gain for the Chicago runner, Matsui. They've been staying away from Payton after he coughed it up early, and Matsui with both arms on the ball, batter-rams ahead for an 8-yard gain to the 8-yard line of New England.
Then Thomas, Dennis Owens on the tackle, but there was a good blow in the New England Patriot defense right at the nose. An excellent job by Keith Van Horn. There's no question that the New England Patriots are going to shut down Walter Payton. Suey's going to be the big man in this football game.
It got Julius Adams out of the game, the Patriots, the 14-year veteran. Chicago's been blowing him off the line. And right now, with 2nd down and 3, the Bears are set to go. Pitch back Suey, running wide to his left, turns inside the 10, puts his head down. He's to the 7. A gain on the play of only about a yard. It'll be 3rd down and about 2 for Chicago at the 7-yard line of New England. Garen Barris, the rookie from Stanford, again was on the staff for the Patriots. Dressed in their white helmets and red jerseys, trying to hold off another Chicago onslaught.
The signal's being hand signaled in to Jim McMahon from Steve Fuller on the sideline. That's the fashion nowadays in the NFL. If you're going to use William Perry, now's the spot where you use him. 3rd down and 2. He is not in there. The backfield is Suey and Payton.
Suey and Payton it is. An open backfield. They're set to either side behind McMahon. 3rd down and less than 2 for Chicago. 7-yard line of New England. Here's the snap handoff, and Matt Suey on a straight-ahead dive hits for a 1st down for the Bears. He's just inside the 5-yard line of New England. It'll be 1st and goal for Chicago as Barris made the tackle, but it was too late. A 1st down for Chicago.
And I think Patriots have done an excellent job of shutting down the corner. The Chicago Bears are smart enough to realize that, hey, if we're going to gain any rushing yardage whatsoever, we either got to make them respect the middle runs or we're not going to run at all. Matt Suey up the middle has been the biggest ground gainer so far for Chicago.
37 yards on 7 carries, over 5 yards a pop. Walter Payton has only 7 yards total on 6 carries, and he fumbled once. Now the Bears are going to signal for a timeout as the game clock shows 8:07 to go in the first half of Super Bowl 20, and the score is Chicago 13, New England 3. Don Crickey with Bob Trumpy back at Super Bowl 20 in New Orleans on NBC Radio as the Chicago Bears, after trailing 3-0 early in the game, have now taken a 13-3 lead and are in commanding position to score again as they have it 1st and goal inside the Patriot 5-yard line. Matt Suey's been a yeoman running back for Chicago today, gaining 37 yards. First 7 carries of the game, and now the Bears are aligned in an I formation. Payton's the deep back. Ready to go left to right from New England 4. Here is Payton up the middle, puts his head down. He's chopped at the 3. Suey's block was fended off, and Dennis Owens, the 4-year veteran from North Carolina State, made the stop along with the rookie Garen Barris.
Barris is a guy whose name you've called a great deal so far in this first half. There are always bright spots in every game, win or lose. Garen Barris is a player that's going to be playing for the New England Patriots for a long time, creating a lot of havoc.
10th play of the drive coming up, and guess who's in the backfield, Mr. Trumpy?
The refrigerator, the one with legs, not the one with the door.
Stepped on a printout scale when he first reported to the Bear training camp, and it read, ouch. Came in at 360. Down to 310, they say, but some doubt that.
Another timeout called by the Chicago Bears now. And that's 2 they've wasted. Orson control 13-3, and realizing points here, as you said, might salt the game away. The Chicago Bears do not want to make any mistakes. 2nd down and about 2 with William Perry in the backfield. I like this comment. Someone asked him, William, do you have a weakness? And he said, yes. Cheeseburgers.
Yes. In vast numbers. Right now, there's a timeout on the field. 7:28 to go in the first half of Super Bowl 20, and the score remains the Chicago Bears 13, the New England Patriots 3. Back and set to go at Superdome, New Orleans, Louisiana in Super Bowl 20. The Bears with a 13-3 lead. Midway through the second quarter. Now set to go 2nd down and goal from the 2-yard line of New England. Jim McMahon takes the snap. He rolls out, keeps it himself, and he's in for a touchdown. Rolling out to his left. McMahon on what looked like an option play, pedaled the ball all the way. William Perry, the big tackle, was a trailer on the play. He was in the backfield. Jim McMahon goes in, and I think the Patriots' trump just went out.
I hate to say it, Raymond Claiborne on the tackle. That was the old Oklahoma option, the wishbone. All you have to do is seal the line of scrimmage. McMahon realized there was an opening in the defense. Walter Payton was the trailer. William Perry had a big thunderous block. He was the fullback. Cleared out a lot of people. That's 6 easy points. 20-3. New England doesn't have a first down. Whoa.
And the Chicago Bears are ready to try the point after. They hit it up, and they hit it good. And so, with 7:24 left to play, Kevin Butler's extra point for the Chicago Bears gives them a 20-3 lead over the New England Patriots. 7:24 to go in the first half.
7:24 to go in the first half. The Bears lead 20-3, and Don, the Chicago Bears to this point have run 36 offensive plays. The New England Patriots, 10. Patriots still waiting for their first down.
And still waiting for plus yardage. They're minus yardage for the game so far, offensively. So dominant have the Chicago Bears been. Minus 23 yards total offense for New England with 7:24 to play in the first half. The Bears lead the game. The most important numbers, the Chicago lead now 20-3 as the Patriots are ready to receive again. Here's a kickoff downfield to our right to Stephen Starling from the 10. Starts up in their sideline, crosses the 20, breaks into open field, and he's knocked down to the 28-yard line of New England. And there the Patriots will try again after a 20-yard kickoff return by Stephen Starling. Ron Rivera covered on special teams and made the tackle for the Chicago Bears.
Well, once again, I think in the initial stages of this football game, the Patriots' choice to throw the ball gave the Chicago Bears some confidence. The Bears turned the ball over and still keep the Patriots out of the end zone, and this defense just feeds on that. Now the Patriots in real big trouble.
They've got to get big plays, even though in the first half they go to the run, and Craig James is stopped for no gain. Running back Craig James, who had a spectacular season for the Patriots, rushing for over 1,200 yards and maybe was even better in the playoffs, trying to go straight ahead. He's knocked down to the 29-yard line. A gain of, well, where they spot the ball, there's none. It's 2nd and 10.
Tackle made by Richard Dent and William Perry. Those two are lined up against John Hanna and Brian Holloway, the two best offensive linemen of the New England Patriots.
2nd down and 10 coming up now for New England. Here's a pitch back. With the ball is Tony Collins, and he's knocked down for no gain. Wilbur Marshall filled and hit him as he ran wide to his right, tried to turn upfield to the far side, and was knocked down to the 26-yard line. A 3-yard loss as the Bear defense is absolutely destroying any offensive hopes New England might have, at least at this point in the game.
Now, when you watch this Chicago Bear defense, you swear there's 15 guys out there because people don't get off of blocks to make tackles. They're standing there. At this point, total yardage, Bears 158. Patriots minus 23.
And it's a 20-3 Chicago lead in the second quarter as the Patriots on 3rd and 12 go from the shotgun. Eason standing at his 21 awaits the snap. Gets it. He fires back quickly. Big blitz. And they're going to knock him down to the 16-yard line. Tony Eason unable to even set up. And you can't even call who the sacker is because 5 Bears were there. Otis Wilson might have been the first. The left outside backer. Tyrone Keys was also on the play along with McMichael.
Loss of 11 yards. Eason had no chance whatsoever to look downfield. The minute he set his feet, he started bouncing around back there. Pressure from at least 3 men all over Tony Eason. Brings up 4th down, and now they're about minus 40 yards total offense.
Going from bad to worse for New England when they have the ball. And again, Chicago's going to get great field position because Cam Murillo, ready to punt the ball for the Patriots, is inside his 5-yard line to hit it. Keith Ortego, a rookie, is standing back of the Chicago 39 to our left. Here's a high punt, kick downfield, not too deep. Ortego reverse. No, he works the reverse. Did not fair catch. Gives it to Leslie Frazier, and there's a penalty marker down. I thought I saw a fair catch signal. We'll see what the marker was. They ran a reverse, and Leslie Frazier got a handoff as Ortego cut to his right. Frazier came around behind him, ran to the far side, and Frazier's down, a starting cornerback for Chicago, holding his left knee.
Greg Hawthorne made the tackle. Now, that could hurt the Chicago Bears a bunch. This is a defense that is good, but it's not deep.
Invalid fair catch. Signal on the fair catch. 5-yard penalty. First down at 10.
Don, you got it. Ortego signaled the fair catch and then handed the ball off. That's a no-no. But there, the point I was going to make before Red Cashin made the call there, they are not deep at cornerback. And they lose Frazier. That hurts and hurts a bunch.
No, they're not. They're not deep at cornerback at all. And see the Chicago Bears, they'll probably go to Sean Gale, a backup second-year player, or to Reggie Phillips, a rookie, as we pause 5 seconds for station identification.
Invalid fair catch signal. Number 21 on the receiver.
So both teams have lost a player with an injury to the left knee. Lynn Dawson on the Patriots' first play from scrimmage twisted the knee running a pass pattern at the 7-yard line of Chicago. No one was near him. The ball flew overhead, and he was taken off on a mobile stretcher with what we're now reported to be learned as a ruptured tendon in his knee to require major surgery. And now, trying to run a reverse, Leslie Frazier of the Bears turns upfield. He's hit, coughed up the ball. A teammate recovered, but he goes down with an injury to his left knee and is still down.
And Don, once again, when they finally get Leslie Frazier off the field with his injury, the Chicago Bears will have the ball at their own 43-yard line. Their field position has been unbelievable, and with the kind of defense their defense is showing today, I mean, that field to New England appears to be 1,000 yards long, not 100 yards long.
158 yards total offense for Chicago, minus 25 for the Patriots so far. And the Bears have the ball again. They were down 3-0 on the second play of this game from scrimmage. Walter Payton running straight ahead was hit with a jolting tackle by Garen Barris, the rookie. He coughed it up. McGrew recovered for New England. After 3 missed pass plays, the Patriots kicked the field goal, took a 3-0 lead. Then the Bears have roared back to score 20 straight points. Leslie Frazier being helped off the field, but it looks very unlikely that he'll be back today with a very substantial limp.
Well, maybe that's the first bright spot that the New England Patriots have found. You don't want to take advantage of an injury, but this is for the championship of the world in professional football. I'd be very surprised if the New England Patriots didn't come back offensively, try to test whoever Leslie Frazier's replacement is immediately. But first, they got to contend with the Bear offense.
Bears have the ball after the penalty back at their 42-yard line. They're moving left to right in the second quarter. McMahon, at quarterback, has an eye set in his backfield. Payton's the deep back. Here's the snap. Pitch back. Payton running left to the far side. He's going to be hit and knocked down for a loss. No, he turns the corner and does get some yards. He was caught in the backfield, then ran ahead across the Bear 45. And on the far side of the field in front of the Chicago Bear bench, he ran out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Blackman, the right outside backer, ran him out for New England. But Payton turned what looked to be a loss into yardage, and it's going to be now second down for Chicago, 2nd down and 5.
Julius Adams did a good job of penetrating, made Walter Payton hesitate for a little bit. And Walter Payton got that 5 yards all by himself.
So far, Payton has run the ball 8 times for 14 yards total. He's not had a big day. Matsui has, though. He's run 37 yards and 7 carries. It's 20-3 Chicago, second quarter, Super Bowl 20. McMahon hands off to Suey again. This time he's caught. Free ball. Wide open on the field, and the Patriots have it at their 47-yard line. Matsui hit in the backfield. It was McGrew coming through, and Steve Nelson, the ball popped forward. And then coming up to make the recovery was Raymond Claiborne at the far side of the New England 47. So we're even in turnovers, but certainly not in the score trap, and New England has to do something here.
And you can see the practice paid off for the New England Patriots. That ball was on the ground, and Raymond Claiborne picked it up like it was a shortstop. They practice that every single day, getting down there and picking up the ball. They're not foolish enough to try to run with it. All they try to do is recover it.
It would do immeasurable good for the New England team confidence if they could score a touchdown before halftime, but so far they've not been close to that, and now Grogan is in at quarterback. They've pulled Eason, they've gone to the backup, Steve Grogan, who quarterbacked New England to 6 straight victories during the regular season. A quick out pattern is slapped in the air, and the ball is incomplete. It was slapped up in the air by a Chicago defensive lineman, Richard Dent. Nobody knew where it was. Grogan's head flailing around looking for the ball, and it fell incomplete at the 44-yard line of New England. So the ball will go back to the line of scrimmage, the 47, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Ron, what a story this would be if Steve Grogan could come in here and have an impact on his team to end the first half with 5:03 left. He's been out with that badly broken leg, and he's going to try to gut it out here and do something for his team. He's waited a long time for this.
2nd down and 10 now for Grogan and the Patriots, moving right to left in the second quarter and trailing Chicago 20-3. Grogan drops to throw, standing at his 36, eludes the rusher, throws the ball to Tony Collins. He's ahead out to the 46-yard line of Chicago. It'll bring up 3rd and short yardage, but the Patriots get their biggest gain of the day as Dorison made the stop after about an 8-yard pickup.
Grogan replaces Eason, who was 0 for 6 for 0 yards, and that time I think Steve Grogan, he realized that there was going to be pressure, started rolling out just as soon as he got the ball from the center, found Collins open. First positive yardage this team has had in a long time.
Bears trump 0 for 4. New England's 0 for 4 on 3rd down conversions. The Bears have allowed only 2 third-down conversions in 30 playoff tries by opponents. Only 2 out of 30. Snap to Grogan, shotgun, throw to near side. James has the ball, spins ahead. New England has a first down as James is down to the 40-yard line of Chicago. The swing pass out to the near side, and the Patriots get their first down of the game.
6-yard pickup by Craig James, and I'll tell you what, Steve Grogan was absolutely hammered, and on the field is Mike Singletary. New England Patriots, 4:06 to go in the first half, and they finally have their first down. Mike Singletary is still down on the field, not sure exactly what the injury might be, but he got hit by William Perry.
There's something to be said for experience as Grogan has started to move the Patriots. It's interesting, Trump, that you said he was hit by his own man, William Perry.
His own men.
They asked Raymond Perry during the week, are you concerned about William Perry? He said, I'm concerned about him falling on somebody. They thought it was a joke. He said, listen, I saw Daddy Lipscomb fall on Gino Marchetti and break the best defensive lineman in the NFL's leg. He said, when Perry goes to the ground, you hope nobody on your team is under him, but now Singletary's up and appears to be all right. He'll have to come out for a play.
That's one of the things I think that has helped the Chicago Bears so much this season. Defensively, they have stayed healthy. They really haven't missed anybody for a long period of time, and the one guy that can certainly afford to lose the least is Mike Singletary, called Samurai. He's the brains, he's the guts, and he's an awful lot of the brawn of that defense. But from my old buddy Steve Grogan,
he's cursing out there, saying something of strong verbiage. Is Mike Singletary hating to go off just for the one play? Given a standing salute by the big Chicago contingent here at Super Bowl 20. Singletary, a linebacker who his coach Buddy Ryan says, yells during the game, come to me, come to me. He wants that ball carrier. Said a lot of guys talk tough. He says Singletary's the one guy that means it. He wishes every play came at him.
I'll tell you another tough guy, Steve Grogan. For years, absolutely bruised, battered, and beaten in New England. Still gets up. He's not that long ago. He still got 3 screws in his leg from a badly broken leg. Wears a huge knee brace, and this is the culmination of his career. He did not want to sit on the sideline when the New England Patriots took part in Super Bowl 20. Matter of fact, he's their backup kicker. He was hoping Tony Franklin would pull a muscle so he could just get on the field.
Well, he's in now, late in the first half, 4:06 to play, and it's 20-3. The Chicago Bears are in the lead, scoring 20 unanswered points after New England took a 3-0 lead.
And I noticed the replacement for Leslie Frazier at cornerback is Reggie Phillips, number 48. He's a rookie. He's on the near side. He's matched with Stephen Starring.
Here is Grogan handing off, and Tony Collins breaks for some yards into the left side of the Bear defense, running on a slant, right to left to right. He kicks it inside the Bear 40, gets the ball down to the 37-yard line. So all of a sudden, the Patriots are moving the ball a little bit and get their first good run of the game.
Mike Singletary back into the ball game. Whenever there is an injury timeout for a player on the field, Don, that player must come out of the game for at least one play. Now he's back in. Grogan at quarterback, 2nd and 7.
3:18 to play in the first half. Clock is running as Grogan with a 2nd down and 7 drops to throw, standing at the Chicago 46, throws far sideline and way overthrows tight end Derek Ramsey right in front of the Chicago Bear bench at the Chicago 37-yard line, so it's incomplete, and it brings up 3rd down and 7.
Oh, they are nailing Steve Grogan, too. That time he got a forearm right across the chest by Dan Hampton. Grogan will stand in there. That's one thing about that kid, and he's no kid.
Up an 11-year veteran from Kansas State. Grogan was drafted in the 5th round back in 1975. Went down with a serious leg injury this year. Hobbled, he came back and threw his first passes late this week. Since the injury, and workouts with the team. His first passes with an offensive formation, not just down the sideline. Now he's going to be throwing on 3rd down and 7. He's in the shotgun. Blitz. He looks, he throws long, and Morgan can't get to the ball. He hit Morgan one-on-one with Mike Richardson, but it's overthrown him. Grogan is down and hit hard again. Otis Wilson hit him on a blitz just as he released the ball. He's up and all right, but now the Patriots will have to punt the ball with 3:05 to play in the first half.
And Don, once again, Otis Wilson was untouched. They brought everybody. Singletary came from the inside. That consumed the running back. And, of course, Wilson from the outside had a free shot, an absolute 10-yard run right into the chest of Steve Grogan. Incomplete pass. Camarillo's been the busiest man for the New England Patriots today. He's on to punt once more.
He's on to punt now for a fourth time. Is Rich Camarillo. Standing at his 49-yard line, he'll hit the ball right to left. Game clock shows 3:05 to play in the first half. Bears lead Super Bowl 20 20-3 on NBC Radio. Shank punt, but might be well done as the ball goes out of bounds inside the 15-yard line. They're going to spot the ball out. We'll see where the official comes up and marks it. It'll be the Bears' ball, though, and it'll be the Bears' ball as the 20-yard line. Some theatrics by the side judge.
That ends up being a 17-yard punt. Last time these two teams met, Rich Camarillo punted 11 times, which was a New England Patriot record in one football game. This is the worst field position that the Chicago Bears have had all day long.
We start a drive. 2:58 to go in the first half, and the Bears hold a 20-3 lead. Wide to the right is Dennis McKinnon. Wide to the left is Willie Goff for Chicago. Bears going first and 10, left to right from their 20. Hand off to Payton, moves up the middle. He's hit hard, but does get yards across the 25-yard line. Walter Payton runs for 6. Back on the play by Fred Marion. Right?
Fred Marion and Julius Adams on the tackle, and the story of this first half is just the amount of time the New England Patriot defense has been on the field. That much dominated by the Chicago Bears. That tends to wear on you when you go in at halftime. You feel like you played 2 games, and the offense is saying, hey, we're trying.
Tough to be fresh sometimes after that long layoff. Mike Ditka said at his last press conference, I hope you feel like I do the best. Let's get it on. Everybody was ready to play football, and the Bears have been dominating after trailing early. They lead 20-3. Handoff, and Walter Payton on a slashing run up the middle. Moves across his 30 and dives out to the 33-yard line for a Chicago first down. Andre Tippett knocked him down. As with 2:05 left to play in the first half, the Bears run the clock down to the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to go in the first half. A big ovation from a huge group of Chicagoans here to support the Bears as Chicago leads 20-3. With Bob Trumpy back at Super Bowl 20 in New Orleans, Louisiana, where the Chicago Bears hold a 20-3 lead over New England. Chicago's defense has dominated the Patriots. Not until the Patriots pulled their starting quarterback late in the first half, replacing Tony Eason with Steve Grogan, was New England able to muster a first down. As Chicago's defense has just overwhelmed the Patriot running and passing game so far. Patriots got their only points early in the game on the second play from scrimmage. Payton fumbled. Patriots recovered at the Chicago 19 and 3 plays later kicked a field goal. Now it's 20-3 Chicago. Jim McMahon hands off to Payton up the middle. He doesn't get much on a first down carry from his 32. Running left to right, he's out to the 35-yard line of the Bears. Veras on the stop for the Patriots. This is the first appearance for the New England Patriots in the Louisiana Superdome since 1980 when they won here, but most of these Patriots weren't with the team then. It's a young ball club. There are 4 Patriots who played for 4 different coaches during their career. Here's a long ball downfield to Tim Reitman, the tight end. It's incomplete at the far side, 42-yard line of New England. A long throw by McMahon, and a penalty marker is down.
Larry McGrew on the coverage by Tim Reitman, thrown from a long way away, and I believe this penalty is going to be against the New England Patriots. Red Cashin and his crew, they're celebrating the Super Bowl, too. You just don't get this assignment. Here's Red.
Illegal hand. Number 42 on the defense. Here's second down.
Ronnie Lepet.
Legal use of hands, and so the Bears on an incomplete pass get yardage and they get the down over. 1:35 to go in the first half. McMahon has not thrown the ball very often in this game. He's put it up 10 times, and he's completed 6 for 105 yards. The big throw among the 6 he's completed, the 43-yarder to Willie Galden. The Bears' second possession that led to a Kevin Butler field goal that tied the game. Now it's 20-3, Chicago in the lead, 1:35 to play in the first half. The Bears set up to move left to right from their 40. McMahon backpedaling, stands at his 32, throws far side, and the ball is incomplete at the 47-yard line of New England. On the far side of the field, Reitman, the tight end from UCLA, again the intended receiver, but not near the ball where it landed.
1:30 to go. Of course, those 2 2 wasted timeouts by the Chicago Bears earlier in the second quarter, just before they scored their last touchdown. I have a feeling, though, the Bears are very happy to go in 20-3 at halftime. They're not going to do anything really outrageous here. Try to maintain control of the football.
You consider they've given up 3 points in 2.5 playoff games, and it was a big mistake by the offense that led to the only 3.
Yep.
Bears have to feel very good with a 17-point lead. 2nd and 10 now for Chicago from the Bears 40, moving left to right. McMahon backpedals to throw, quick timing pattern. The ball is tipped up and slapped back. Defensive outside linebacker Andre Tippett hit the ball back, so McMahon looks for a timing pattern. It's broken up by Tippett. It'll be 3rd down and 10 Chicago.
6'3", 245 pounds, but Tippett seems to play a lot bigger than that. He takes on offensive linemen, has tremendous hand and arm strength. He's not really a bull rusher, but when he can get your hands on you, he just throws you around. That was just going to be a simple little drag pattern to the tight end. Tippett was right there to, in the passing lane, knock it down.
Ball at the 40-yard line. Chicago Bears with a 1:26 to go in the first half, set in the shotgun. McMahon at his 35 awaits the snap from Hilgenberg. Here it is. McMahon side settled, sets up at his 29 and fires a completion to Dennis Gentry across midfield, out of bounds at the 46-yard line of New England. So the Bears apparently want more before halftime. They run a quick timing pattern to Gentry out of the backfield. A gain of 14 yards, a Chicago first down, and he stops the clock with 1:19 to play.
Ernest Gibson on the tackle, a 14-yard gain. Don, a very, very conservative call. It was just like a 5-yard pass. They had 4 wide receivers. All the wide receivers crossed, and what you try to do is pick off a defensive player, find someone free. McMahon had plenty of time, still playing with those gloves, made the completion and the first down.
Story on the gloves, he threw so well in the 2 playoff games, in the bitter cold against the Giants and in a not too bad day against the Rams at Soldier Field. With the gloves on, he wants to stay with them and is doing it right now. Now McMahon hands off. Dennis Gentry takes the handoff, runs up the middle. He's hit very hard and knocked down to the 41-yard line of New England. Up the middle of the field he ran after cutting to his left. Bears slammed him to the artificial turf. There was a gain of 4 on the play, almost 5. It'll be second down. We'll call it 5 from the New England 41-yard line.
Plenty of time going with a 2-minute offense here, but with those 2 wasted timeouts now, they got to be very careful.
McMahon takes a shotgun snap, backpedals to midfield, looks and throws down the middle of the field. He throws and completes it to Marjoram down to the 13-yard line. What a beautiful throw by McMahon, and now he uses the timeout with 41 seconds to play. Gunning the ball right down the middle of the field, 29 yards to Ken Marjoram, who makes a sliding reception on a turn-in pattern, running to the post, and the Bears have it 1st and 10 at the New England 12-yard line when we come back to Super Bowl 20. Bears out of timeouts now, but real deep in points as they lead New England 20-3. 41 seconds to go in the first half of Super Bowl 20 on NBC Radio. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at the biggest game in American sport, and the Chicago Bears, the best team in football, showing it today. They're leading the Patriots 20-3, and they're now driving again late in the first half. Here's a handoff. Dennis Gentry loses the ball, picks it up, and gets down to the 10-yard line. He ran behind, right to left behind Jim McMahon, took the handoff and dropped it. Got a perfect hop off the artificial turf and ran it down to the 10-yard line. But the Bears go into alignment quickly out of timeouts in 25 seconds on the game clock and running. McMahon in the shotgun, New England 26. He's running up the middle of the field. McMahon darts and dives, and he's down to the 2-yard line. Game clock running, 14 seconds. McMahon trying to get his team in alignment. Players are fighting out there. The clock is running. Down to 9 seconds.
They started at 7. They started that fight on purpose.
Sure they did. It's down to 4, 3, 2, 1. And now the clock is stopped with 3 seconds left and a penalty marker down.
I guarantee you the New England Patriots were very smart. They had a player went across the line of scrimmage and grabbed an offensive player just to consume time. There's nothing wrong with that. They're trying to take advantage of the situation. And when it's 20-3 and you're trying to win the Super Bowl, very smart play by whoever did that. Now, the officials have to decide. There are flags on the field, and the half can't end with a flag on the defense, so Chicago may get a free play. There's 3 seconds left, and they do have their field goal team assembled at the line of scrimmage.
It is also in judgment of the official if one of the teams deliberately delays the game by staying offside, the official can put time back on the clock at any time he so decides.
And if it's on the offense, he can wipe the time off the clock. Last play, you don't get another shot.
But the clock is stopped with 3 seconds left, and the Bears do have a chance to try a field goal. It will be a 20-yard attempt for Kevin Butler, who's been perfect today on all his kicks. Looking to put the Bears up 23-3 at halftime. Steve Fuller will hold.
And I'd like to hear Red Cashin come out of this group and say something. They did throw flags on the field. I think we as fans and as broadcasters should know exactly what is happening here. Here he comes.
Got illegal procedure on the offense. They were not set. 5-yard penalty. It'll be third down.
That's it? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. He can wipe the time off the clock. I'm surprised he gives him another play.
3 seconds left. Now Cashin steps in.
I'm dead serious. I am very surprised that they give him this play. If it's on the offense, he certainly has the right to wipe all the time off the clock, and they don't try the kick. They're going to take the 5-yard penalty. This surprises me. This surprises me a great deal.
Now it'll be a 25-yard field goal attempt with 3 seconds left in the first half. Bears are leading 20-3. They'll be kicking the ball left to right. Kevin Butler puts his foot into it, spins it up, and Butler, does he have it again? He does. So the first half ends with the Bears holding to a 23-3 lead.
The coaches are out there talking to Red Cashin. A penalty on the offense, Don. The half should have ended. The Bears should not have had a field goal attempt. They are absolutely correct. I can't believe that Red Cashin would allow them that field goal attempt.
Go for it.
I'm serious.
You've played the game for 10 years.
Eddie Kayat absolutely ran out onto the field saying that is totally illegal. You cannot do that. They can't get another play, and he's right.
But they did, so points are up, and they'll not come off. And at halftime at Super Bowl 20, the score is the Chicago Bears 23, the New England Patriots 3. This is Don Crickey with Bob Trumpy back at Super Bowl 20, where at halftime the Chicago Bears lead the Patriots 23-3. Stan Martin is standing by in the field of the Superdome for our halftime show. This is the NFL on NBC.
Superdome. We are at halftime with the score 23-3, the Chicago Bears over the New England Patriots. We certainly have an awful lot to talk about. It has been a busy first half with the Chicago Bear defense in total dominance all the way. In fact, New England coming up with only 1 first down in the entire first half. We'll get to that, but we want to turn you right around back to Don Crickey up in the booth. He has a halftime guest. It's Billy Sullivan, owner of the New England Patriots. So, Don, take it away.
Thank you, Stan. Billy Sullivan has been in this game as long as the New England Patriots have been. He began the franchise in 1960 with a put-together amount of $25,000. I remember you saying, Billy, he emptied piggy banks and sold war bonds to get the first money up, and the rest, as they say, is history. You're in your first Super Bowl. You've seen a lot of games, though, where teams have been down and teams have come back. Do you think the Patriots can?
The thing I like most about the Patriots is that they have come back all year long, and that they have outscored the opposition by an outrageous majority of points, particularly in the fourth quarter. So I haven't given up by any means. I know Steve Grogan has got a lot of guts, as you fellas mentioned. I heard part of the broadcast. He's a campaigner that was so anxious to get in today that his mother told me that if he had to do no more than run out to pick the tee up off the ground, he was going to get on that field somehow today, and I'm delighted that he's there.
Well, Billy, there was some conjecture that Tony Eason would not be ready to start. He did suffer the flu this week. Apparently that Chicago Bear pass rush affected him much more than the flu. He just couldn't set up and get his reads and get the ball downfield. The team did move better when Steve Grogan went into quarterback the Pates, but the Chicago defense really is an awesome group, aren't they?
They surely are. Ours isn't bad either. I mean, I think that
they've been on the field quite a bit today, but I think that they've done their job, and I think if the offense were doing as well, then we'd have quite a ball game, and I think that will happen in the second half.
Well, Billy, continued success to the Patriots, and certainly congratulations on the great year you've had coming into this game, really showing the mettle of great athletes coming from behind in playoff games, winning critical games all on the road to get here. It's got to be a great thrill just to be here, and nobody's going to count the Patriots or anyone out of this one until we play 2 more quarters.
I couldn't agree more, Bob. It's a tremendous thrill to be here, but I must say that I think the game is far from over.
Okay, Billy, thank you for coming by. Billy Sullivan, the president of the New England Patriots. Here again is Stan Martin.
Thank you, Don Cricky. Back on the floor of the stadium. As we said, the score at halftime, the Chicago Bears leading the New England Patriots by a score of 23-3. Now, we'll go over the highlights of the first half with you. It was a first half, as we said, in which New England had opportunities earlier in the half, and then, of course, the Chicago defense just took over and dominated. Let's take time out right now. 5 seconds for station identification. A wild first half, as we said, with the Chicago Bears defense totally dominating all facets of play, but we'll run down the highlights, and we'll get to those right after this. The Bears won the toss and elected to receive. They did. They got the ball. And on the second play from scrimmage, offensively for Chicago, it was almost disaster.
2nd and 4, handoff, and Payton fumble. Free ball, and the Patriots have it at the 19-yard line of Chicago. Walter Payton hit with a jarring tackle. And so the Patriots, in 3 playoff victories, forcing 16 turnovers and giving up not at all, come out on the first series and take it away from Chicago. Larry McGrew comes up with the ball.
So, New England had a marvelous opportunity on the Chicago 19-yard line. They could do absolutely nothing against that Chicago defense. In fact, Lynn Dawson was hurt on one of those offensive plays. So, New England, with a chance to score a TD, had to come up short, and they had to settle for Tony Franklin.
The holder is Tony Eason. It'll be a 37-yard field goal attempt. Hit up and right through the middle, and so the Patriots are on the board. In 19 previous Super Bowls, the first team to score has won 18 times.
Well, that may not be the case today. New England had that early 3-0 lead. At that point, that was their finest moment in the first half. The Bears took the ensuing kickoff and got their act going, and then set this one up with a great play from McMahon to Willie Gault.
Now, 2nd and 10 for Chicago. McMahon backpedaling, looking long. Fires down the far sideline. Willie Gault has the ball inside the 30-yard line of New England. At the far side of the field, he's knocked down to the 26-yard line. He beat Ronnie Leppett on a straightaway sprint, and Jim McMahon getting the ball way downfield was right on target to world-class sprinter Willie Gault. A 43-yard gain.
Don Cricky hit it right. Willie Gault, a world-class sprinter. He looked every inch that way as he streaked down the sidelines to make that catch and set it all up for the Chicago Bears. And now they were seriously had the New England Patriots in deep trouble. But the Pats defense, with a chance to shine, did exactly that. They did not give ground, and the Bears had to settle for Kevin Butler.
Now Kevin Butler ready to try a field goal. He'll be trying it from his 8 to the 18-yard line of New England, a 28-yard attempt. Steve Fuller will hold. New England leads the game 3-0. Here's Butler into the ball, spins it up, and he's right on the money.
So at that point, we had a tied ball game. Chicago 3, New England 3, and we'll continue with our highlights after this. And now a review of the highlights. We were in the first quarter. The score was tied 3-3. At that point, we said both clubs looked good. The New England Patriots defense was solidly in the game, holding its own. But at that point, the crack began. Chicago kicked off, and Tony Eason was sacked. He fumbled. Hampton recovered for Chicago. Again, the Bears had an opportunity to score a touchdown. Again, the New England Patriot defense held solidly. Kevin Butler wound up kicking a 24-yard field goal. Chicago took a 63 lead, and from that point on, it was all Chicago. In the ensuing kickoff, the Pats again on offense, and then really disaster struck.
Patriots ready to go now from their 18. Here's a pitch back. Craig James turns wide to the right, knocked down in the backfield. The Bears are through and get him. They say they have the ball again, and look through the official. They do. Another turnover by New England. Richard Dent might have knocked it free, so the Bears will try again inside the 15-yard line of the New England Patriots.
The Chicago linemen and linebackers were just swarming to the ball. James fumbled. He was just hit so hard. He went down hard, hit hard. He had to punch up the ball, and Chicago recovered. At that point, Walter Payton was not running well for the Bears. He was looking for room outside. He could not find it. The New England defense was shutting him down, and so the Bears switched. They went to their other running back, their fullback, Matt Suey, and the former Penn State star just punched it up the middle.
Pitch back. It goes to Suey. Running wide to the right. He turns upfield, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown.
Matt Suey, 11 yards for the touchdown. That put Chicago up by a score of 13-3. That's the way the first quarter ended, and you could tell at that point that Chicago was assuming dominance of this football game. They were trying everything, Chicago, at that point. They were almost cocky about what they could do. There was even a cross-field pass to Matt Suey from McMahon. That worked, and that set up a touchdown by McMahon. He went 3 yards for the score in the second period, and at that point, Chicago led by a score of 20-3. Later in the period, Matt Suey fumbled. Steve Grogan came onto the game to replace Tony Eason, but he picked up New England's first down in the game, but could get very, very little else. Kevin Butler in a final drive by the Chicago Bears wound up kicking a field goal, a 25-yarder, and a controversial one because apparently there's some penalty involved to the offensive team, and the guys in the booth, Bob Trumpy and Don Cricket, question whether you can stop the clock on an offensive penalty and allow the team to line up and kick a field goal. Nevertheless, Kevin Butler did just that, and Chicago wound up at halftime, leading the New England Patriots by a score of 23-3. This is the NFL on NBC. We are at halftime at the New Orleans Superdome with the Chicago Bears leading the New England Patriots by a score of 23-3. I've got eye contact with Don Crickey and Bob Trumpy up at their booth, but I don't know if we've got sound contact.
I'm here, Stan. Let's talk.
Okay, but I want to ask you about that field goal and why it is controversial.
Well, I just talked to Art McNally, mixed storage of the NFL. What they're saying is that the NFL admits a mistake. That play should have not been run. Stan, as we said at the end of the first half, any penalty on the offense to try to buy time so you can get a playoff is illegal in the last 2 minutes of a half or a football game. Art McNally said what Red Cashin should have done is take 10 seconds off the clock. And, of course, taking 10 seconds off the clock, the play does not take place. The score should be 20-3, but because the play did take place, the score stands at half 23-3. Unprecedented. I don't ever remember being at a football game where the NFL at this moment will admit a mistake.
You're beautiful, Trump. You know your rules, but right. They could really have an embarrassment. I doubt, in the situation being the way it is, whether New England can really come back. But what happens if they do? I mean, isn't that an embarrassing situation for the league?
Well, Stan, it is now, because there are an awful lot of rules and regulations about Team A and Player A and Team B and Player B and X and Y and Z, but it's pretty clearly stated that no team offensively can buy a play at the end of a half or a game. So we're not talking about one of the little-known rules in the NFL. We're talking about a rule that is clearly stated, is very easy to understand, and is something that no team really tries to abuse at the end of a half or a game. In this particular instance, I can't tell you why 7 guys couldn't come up with the correct ruling, but Stan, I hate to say this, but I don't think that 3 points is going to make any difference. The New England Patriots are not even close to being in this game.
Oh, to agree with you. It's a shame because that New England defense held up well for much of the first period, but they were just out there too long, and they're just being worn down.
Yeah, Stan, I think that's the most valid point to make at this point. There's still 30 minutes of football to play, and the New England Patriot defense, in my estimation, is pretty well used up right now. At the end of the half, they started cracking a little bit, giving up a few more big plays. But the Chicago defense will do that to your football team. When you sit there on the sideline, and it's 3 plays and out, 3 plays and out, 3 plays and out, all of a sudden the defense says, hey, guys, you got to hold up your end too. And eventually, as the Chicago Bears have done to many teams to this point in the season, they embarrass you. And you think there's nothing we can do. I mean, the Patriots came into this ball game, their last performance, 255 yards rushing. Today, minus yards rushing. This is as dominating a defense as I have seen in the last 25 years of paying attention to the NFL, Stan. And it has to be a really psychologically debilitating thing. I mean, Tony Eason is a kid. He's a young quarterback. I mean, he's just really taking it out there, and it really has to play in his head, too. Yeah. Stan, Jim Hart, who broadcast for the Chicago Bears, made what I thought was a very interesting observation. He thought at the outset of the football game that Tony Eason remembered those 6 sacks the last time New England played Chicago. He really wanted no part of it. Now, that's not saying there's anything wrong with Tony Eason whatsoever, but quarterbacks feel pressure, and I don't think he ever set up to throw any pass, and that's why they had to go to Steve Grogan. And I think if you're Raymond Berry, you go in there and say, gentlemen, I'm with you. Whatever happens, we are not going to hang our heads because we're playing a hell of a football team. Let's start this half just the way we started the game and see what happens.
Well, I'm just looking at the stat sheet of the first half. The Pats are minus 5 yards rushing. They are plus 14 yards passing. Eason and Grogan are, they're 2 for 11 for 14 yards, and that's it. That's their offense.
Yeah, well, Grogan is 2 for 5. Right. Eason is 0 for 6, as I remember, and no yards whatsoever.
That's correct.
Stan, you can't win when you go almost a quarter and a half before you get a first down.
No.
And the New England Patriots led 3-0 without a first down, and this is very characteristic of the Chicago Bear defense. No question about it. This is the way they play.
And the Chicago offense, particularly the rushing offense, is no big deal. I mean, Payton 11 yards, Suey 8 yards, McMahon 4 yards, Thomas 1 yard, Gentry 3 yards. They're not killing New England on the ground. That's 27 yards. But
no, wait, Stan, you're reading attempts. Go to the next one. Suey's got 37 yards.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
37 yards for Suey offensively. Well, that's better. I was reading the wrong column.
That's all right.
But McMahon is 8 for 14, 148 yards through the air, and he's really burning New England.
And Dan, I'll make this point. I think the New England defense, the biggest part of the first half, got done what they wanted to get done, and that was to shut Walter Payton down. I mean, 11 carries and 26 yards and a 2.4-yard average and a long gain of 7, and that came late in the second quarter. They're doing a job. They're doing an excellent job on Walter Payton. They're shutting down the corner, but it's a cumulative thing. The Chicago Bears have run 14 passes. They've run 43 plays to New England's 21. And it gets hot in here in an enclosed stadium. And what's going to happen is you're going to wear out, and all of a sudden the 7-yard runs become 15-yard runs, Stan, and the 10-yard passes become 25-yard passes. So I don't think, honestly, there's a thing New England can do about it from here.
Well, for heaven's sakes, then, what can Raymond Berry, what can he say to them in that dressing room?
We won the AFC Championship game, fellas. We are champions of the American Football Conference. I'm proud of you. Let's go out there and not be embarrassed. Remember, a lot of people are watching. Do the best you possibly can. I'm with you. I'll answer the questions. You do it like that. That's the way Raymond Berry's done it throughout this season. He's not going to quit now.
That's a good way to put it, I guess. We are at halftime with the Chicago Bears leading the New England Patriots by a score of 23-3. This is the NFL on NBC. We are at halftime at the New Orleans Superdome, Super Bowl 20. The Chicago Bears lead the New England Patriots by a score of 23-3. And so help me, folks, the score of the game is not even indicative of how unclose, how wide and disparaging the game has been. New England with an opportunity early on, kicked the field goal to take a 3-0 lead, and that was their high point in the first half. Chicago came back with 23 unanswered points, and that's where they lead right now. There is a gala celebration ongoing here on the floor of the New Orleans Superdome. We are in the midst of all of that. A crowd, a packed house of over 70,000 enjoying it, particularly the Chicago Bears fans. Momentarily, we'll be turning you back to the booth where we have another halftime guest. A reminder, too, to stay tuned after the end of Super Bowl 20 to join us for NFL Live and a special 2-hour broadcast where you can call in and talk football with Bob Trumpy. Bob will be your host. He will take your calls. He will have, obviously, post-game guests, particularly from members of the winning team. And now, let me talk to my buddy Trump. Are you still there, Trump?
Yo, Stan, I'm here.
Okay.
Fire away.
We talked about what Raymond Berry would say to the New England Patriots in the dressing room. What does Mike Ditka say to the Bears?
Dan, I don't think he has to say much to his football team. I think this is a team that has the personality where they like to rub it in. I don't think they're going to slow down. I don't think they're going to give up one bit. I think they're going to stay after it as hard as they possibly can. And Mike Ditka probably knows that. He can just stand there quietly and let the players take care of that.
You know, we have
Dan, hang on a minute. The commissioner of the NFL just walked in, Mr. Pete Rozelle. My broadcast partner, Don Crickey, will have a conversation with him.
Take it away.
Pete, you've been at all 20 Super Bowls, including number 20 here in New Orleans, presiding over all 20. I don't know if there's ever been a team that's looked as good as the Chicago Bears did in the first half.
It looked like that legendary team in the early 40s that knocked off Washington 73-zip.
I hope we don't have that.
No, I think the Patriots are really a solid club, and they wouldn't let that happen. But the Bears are so constantly tough on defense, and of course McMahon has done a good job of running their offense.
Pete, there was that rare difficulty at the end of the first half. Red Cashin grades out, or he wouldn't have had this game as one of the finest referees in the league. Would there ever be occasion, though, if this game should come down to where that field goal that the Bears might not have had not to have been that call, ever be taken off the board? Once points are up, I guess it's history, huh?
That's correct. Mistake was made. They should have run 10 seconds off because of the foul against the offense at the end, but the 3 points stay up there.
So they do. Well, at any rate, as the league comes on now, one of the next big orders of business, and you had your annual State of the Football Art address on Friday, which was attended by, I guess, a couple thousand members of the media, certainly hundreds of them. Some of the things you're projecting for the game in the next year. One of the things that's of imminent concern is the U.S. Football League suit. What is your assessment of that at this point?
Well, we felt it was a baseless suit from the start. Of course, that's our opinion. It'll be up to the court to decide. That'll be tried sometime this spring, and then a year from now we'll have the television contracts running out. We'll have the television negotiations and a little matter of a collective bargaining agreement, trying to avoid a strike and reaching agreement with the Players Association. So those are two big things for early '87.
You made some interesting observations about the importance of the Chicago Bears, not just as a great football team, but the way they impact the national television ratings, the popularity they have in the nation's third biggest city.
Well, I think their basic impact, Don, they had a heck of an impact there because that's a large population, but really it's national. I think the whole country was captivated with Refrigerator, Jim McMahon, and that whole crew. Certainly Walter Payton.
I like your observation after McMahon wore the Rozelle headband last week. You said you were sorry you didn't have the line of shoes out in time.
I couldn't mark them quick enough.
What do you think in the second half? You've seen an awful lot of football games in your 26 years as commissioner. You've seen a lot of teams come back. From what you think, do you think the Patriots have any chance to rally back against this defense?
Well, anything is possible in football. I was down in Miami when the Dolphins played Cleveland. I think it was Cleveland 21-3 at halftime. And you got the feeling that they were going to dominate the game. Of course, the Dolphins staged a great rally and won it. So anything can happen in football. I think the key are the turnovers. If you can get an edge on turnovers, you got a chance of catching up faster.
Pete, thank you very much for coming by, and continued success to you in the National Football League, the biggest event in American sports, Super Bowl 20. Another half to go, and we're just about ready.
Thank you, Don.
Pete Rozelle, the commissioner of the National Football League, here against Stan Martin.
All right, a reminder once again, don't forget to join us for NFL Live at the conclusion of the game. We're just about ready to go. Second half, brought to you by Allstate. For home, auto, business, health, and life, you're in good hands with Allstate. Now, to set you up for the second half, Let's go back up to the booth. Don Cricky and Bob Trumpet.
Both teams back on the playing field. The New England Patriots right below us where we're located, high above the Superdome playing floor, an artificial turf field in the biggest stadium in football, the biggest indoor stadium. If you've never been in the Superdome, you'd be interested to know that the entirety of the Houston Astrodome could fit inside this building. Another young man in the booth with us is Gerard Phelan, the man who caught the famous Doug Flutie pass against Miami, immortalized himself, as did Flutie, in Boston College football lore. He's now a wide receiver with the Patriots, has been out for the season with a knee injury, but will be back next year. Gerard, what do you think of the Patriots' chances to get back in this game, knowing as you do?
Well, the Patriots have played very consistent football during the playoffs, and especially the last part of the playoffs. They've made big plays on defense. They've also made big plays on offense, and particularly they've done very well in the special teams category. So I look for the Patriots to at least get back on the board with 2 or 3 touchdowns. They never give up, and a real tough team.
Well, that's one of the things about them is their integrity and their character. They won't back off, Trump, no matter what the score is.
No, I agree with you. You can't fault the New England Patriots for anything that happens in this second half. It's just, unfortunately, this is a running football team, and you couldn't have picked a worse year to bring a running football team into the Super Bowl to represent the AFC. These numbers don't lie, Don. Minus 19 yards total offense for New England, 236 for the Chicago Bears.
Well, you played. Here's the kickoff as now Butler hits the ball downfield right to left. Starring takes it 2 yards deep and brings it out for the Patriots. Spins to the near side, crosses the 20, puts his head down and spins out to the 22 and did well to hold on as a linebacker, Brian Cabral, came down and struck him hard. And the Patriots go on offense 1st and 10.
God, I know the Patriot fans are not looking for any more bad news, but since 1984, the Bears are 23-1 when leading at the half. Steve Grogan back at quarterback for New England. Let's try to start fresh, gentlemen. Do the best we can here.
Tony Eason started the game, was troubled about with flu during the week, and he was unable to move the team at all, was swept under by the Chicago pass rush, and now Grogan, who's been in since the second quarter, is ready to direct the Patriot offense 1st and 10 from their 21. They're moving left to right out of the Patriots to open the third quarter. Grogan, quick drop, throws an out pat, and the ball is caught by Stanley Morgan, and he's out close to the 30-yard line. Nicely done by the New England Patriots. They gained 8 on a quick out. And I was told before the game, Trump, by one of the Patriot coaches, Harold Jackson, who played so many years in the NFL, this is what they were going to do. Quick 3-step drops and have the ball away within 3 seconds.
Don, the difference between Steve Grogan and Tony Eason is Eason likes the running backs and the tight end as receivers. Grogan has always been a wide receiver quarterback, throwing it to Stanley Morgan and to Harold Jackson. And he's a lot better 3-step drop quarterback than is Tony Eason.
And he's been in the league 11 years. This is Tony's third. He didn't play at all his first year. Here's a handoff. Going up the middle with the ball is Tony Collins. He runs ahead very close to a New England first down. On a 2nd down and 2 play from the Patriot 30, Tony Collins slanting up the middle and cutting to his right, dove out to about the 32, and he's ahead for a first down for New England.
Now the thing that the Chicago Bears have to guard against is with that 23-3 score, coming out here and being flat in the second half and giving the New England Patriots a chance to get back in the ballgame. The Patriots are a quality football team, and as you said, they're not about to quit in the last 30 minutes.
That's one thing. They absolutely will not quit no matter what the score. And as Sullivan pointed out, they've been dominant in the fourth quarter. Here is Grogan rushing. He's in trouble, and he's sacked at the 28-yard line of New England. Steve Grogan dropped back to his 25, saw no one open, started to run to his right, stumbled a bit, and then was fallen on, coming up to make the play for a 5-yard loss. Making the sack was Richard Dent.
And that's the 4th sack of the day by the Chicago Bears on New England quarterbacks.
Now New England stacks 2 wide receivers to the left, to the far side. Right behind Stephen Starring is Stanley Morgan. Here are the Bears coming early, and Grogan drops to throw, and the play is whistled dead as Grogan is running for his life back at his 20. 3 Bears left early. We'll see if they were drawn offside. On a 2nd and 14 play.
It looked like the right guard came up out of his stance. He was drawn by the defense.
Number 61.
On the offense, Ron Wooden. That's just the way it's gone. You see, that time they had 7 guys at the line of scrimmage. And what happens is the offensive lineman who has his hand down is trying for just a split second more of time to set up for the pass rush. Wooden left early, and it's just that threat of the pass rush that really gets you into a dumb mistake.
Richard Dent now has 9.5 sacks in playoff games. regular season, he was the Bears' best sacker with 13.5 sacks. So now New England is backed up on consecutive losses. It's going to be 2nd down and 20 for the Patriots back at their 23-yard line. 2nd and 20 for New England early in the 3rd quarter of Super Bowl 20. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at the Superdome in Louisiana. Snap goes on the shotgun to Grogan. He stands in. He's going to be sacked again back at the 9-yard line. 5 sacks by the Chicago defense. Otis Wilson, the 6-year veteran from Louisville, came on a sprinting blitz on the left side and crashed through a blocker to get Grogan before he could unload.
Now, Don, that time there were 9 players, 9 Chicago Bears at the line of scrimmage. The problem is the offensive linemen of the New England Patriots have no idea who is going to blitz and who is not going to blitz. And that time they tried to use the tight end Derek Ramsey on Otis Wilson. Wilson just ran around him and got right on Grogan. There's nothing showing here that makes me think the second half is going to be any different than the first half, Don.
Right now, it's even worse for the moment as the Grogan drops to his 2, lofts a long ball down the near sideline. It's caught by Stephen Scouring out to the 33-yard line. It was a long game, but really all it was getting back the lost yardage on the sacks. It was a 23-yard gainer, but it's still now 4th down and 10.
That's desperation, isn't it?
Complete a 23-yard pass, and you're still 4th and 10.
And punt. That's the kind of things that the New England Patriots have to face all day long. And if they just have not been able to run the ball and control the line of scrimmage. And now the pass rushers of the New England Patriots are all in sprinter stances. And when that ball is snapped, bam, shot out of a gun, heading right for the quarterback.
It did give the Patriots trouble, though, position to get out of their own end as Orta goes back down inside the Chicago 24-yard line to our right. Camarillo hits the ball not very well, and knuckleball downfield. Could take a Patriot bounce. It does inside the 20-yard line. It turns into an excellent punt for New England as the ball rolls all the way inside the 5-yard line and down to the 3. So Camarillo's knuckleball punt rolls ahead for a 62-yarder where it's down inside the 5. The Bears have the ball. They lead the game to the Chicago Bears 23-3. They'll be 1st and 10 at their 3-yard line when we come back.
Down to this point in the playoffs for the New England Patriots, they've collected 18 turnovers that have resulted in 64 points, and they're only 3 points today. With the Bears right now, the ball at their own 4-yard line. That's what you want on the room service menu, a turnover.
Well, the last time that the Patriots faced the Bears offense down in this end of the field, you'll remember they did force the turnover from Payton. That was on the Bears' opening drive. They got the ball at the 19-yard line of Chicago. Shortly thereafter, got their only points on a field goal by Tony Franklin. But right now, the Bears are in command, deep in their own end with the ball 1st and 10 for Chicago with a 23-3 lead. Bears in command of the Patriots. McMahon drops into his end zone. Play fake. He's looking long. A home run ball. Willie Gault sprinting after the ball. He's got it. Willie Gault is in open field and thrown down inside the 40-yard line, down to the 37-yard line. It looked like he was held up before he caught the ball, or he'd have been gone.
60 yards on the reception. Fred Marion on the coverage, and Don McMahon couldn't throw it far enough. Willie Gault was open enough that if he gets it to him in stride, he's gone.
One of the defenders, though, as we look back at the NBC TV replay, grabs Gault because he'd have been gone out of here. He just slowed him up for a minute, did Marion. No, he didn't, but Gault beat him and then the ball was a bit underthrown. Willie Gault so fast came back and got it as it was. It was a 60-yard gain for Chicago. McMahon throwing from his end zone, and the Bears now have the ball at the 36-yard line of New England.
And he had to come back for that one. He catches him in stride. It's 6 points Chicago.
Remember, he caught a 43-yarder on the Bears' second possession that led to their first points, a field goal. Now on 1st down, McMahon drops to throw again, takes a look long. He's got time, puts it downfield. Emery Moorhead near side of the 23-yard line. He's run out of bounds there. Moorhead coming out the tight end position, left side, spin it across the near side of the field, the left side, caught the ball, stepped out of bounds. A gain of 14 yards, a Bear 1st down to the 23-yard line of New England. Don Blackman finally ran him out as we pause 5 seconds for station identification. So the Bears rip off 74 yards on consecutive pass plays. A 60-yarder to Gault, A 14-yarder to Emery Moorhead as the Bears, who started first and 10 at their 3-yard line, are now 2 plays later at the 22-yard line of New England. Chicago leads 23-3 in the third quarter. 11:18 to play in it. Moving right to left. The pitch backs to Payton. Puts his head down and drives to the 20. Pitch back to the near side, the left side, and Walter Payton was ridden down by inside linebacker Steve Nelson of New England. But the Bears do get some yards, about 2.
Don, let me go back to that 62-yard pass reception by Willie Gault. That is absolutely, totally, directly tied to the confidence the Chicago Bears have in their defense. There are very few teams that will stand in their own end zone and take a chance of a low percentage pass like that down the field if you don't have an absolutely stifling defense. The Bears do. They're not afraid to throw it from anywhere.
They sure aren't. Jim McMahon having another great game in the playoffs. Pitch back to Payton, running wide to the right. Turns upfield. He is down to the 15-yard line and knocked down at the 16 by Andre Tippett, thrown back there. We'll see if they spot his forward progress to the New England 15. Gain of 5 yards on the play. It'll bring up 3rd and short now for Chicago.
Once again, you take away a couple of big plays by the Chicago Bears, and this Patriot defense has played well enough to be in the football game. But the turnovers by the offense, the lack of time on the field by the offense, and you already see New England Patriot players hands on hips trying to grab a breath of air. They're worn out, and there's still 10:05 to go in the third quarter.
Now, defense has been out there a long time. The Bears dominating the game. 3 downs and out for the Patriot offense has been the story for the most part when the Patriots have had the ball. Now Jim McMahon with a 3rd down and 3. Hands off up the middle goes Matt Suey. He's down to the 12-yard line and very close to a first down on a straight-ahead pump leg power drive up the middle. Lester Williams, the nose tackle for New England, made the stop. Let's see if they spot the ball ahead enough. It appears they are going to for a first down. It is a first down for Chicago.
This Chicago team seems to get better in the second half, too. They've outscored opponents 245-71 in the second half of all the games they played in 1985.
That's almost 4-1. Game clock is running in the third quarter. 9:15 to play in Super Bowl 20 in the third quarter, with the Chicago Bears leading New England 23-3. Don Quickie with Bob Trumpy at the Superdome in New Orleans. Bears in white jerseys, blue helmets. Pitch back goes to Suey, running near the left side. Puts his head down and fights down to the 7-yard line. Pitch back to Suey, and he quickly turns upfield. 220 pounds of runner with good cutaway speed. He cut back and got ahead for a gain down to the 8. And there it will be second down for the Patriot, for the Chicago Bears.
Julius Adams on the tackle. Good block by Walter Payton up front, who, even though the Chicago Bears have dedicated this season to sweetness, Walter Payton, his first appearance in the Super Bowl, he's been better as a blocker than he has a running back so far today for the Bears.
So he's been the big runner for Chicago, 10 carries for 43 yards. Now, on second down and 6, McMahon rolls out to his right, to the far side, looks into the end zone. He throws a dump pass that's dropped to the 4-yard line. Ronnie Lepet was covering on the play as the Bears tried to go to Dennis McKinnon. It's incomplete, and it brings up third down and 6 for Chicago at the 9-yard line of New England.
This New England Patriot defense has done an excellent job at the corners. That's where the Bears have gotten an awful lot of yards throughout this 1985 season. Now the Patriots going with 2 extra defensive backs. 2 linebackers come out and a defensive lineman, going with 6 defensive backs now, expecting the Chicago Bears to throw. This is generally where they give the ball to Walter Payton. Bears 5 of 8 on third down conversions.
Right now, on this third down try, 3rd and 6 on the 8-yard line, actually, McMahon drops back to the New England 12. Pulls to the end zone, touchdown Chicago. And Margarine is
no touchdown.
He's down to the goal line, but not in. He's inches away and thrown out of bounds.
That's enough for a first down, though.
It is enough for a first down. It looked like Margarine had crossed the plane, but the official said no. McMahon's over there talking to him. The nose of the ball is almost touching the goal line. No touchdown, but wait a moment as William Perry heads into the backfield of Chicago.
Roland James on the tackle did an excellent job of keeping Marjoram out of the end zone. Ends up being a 7-yard completion. Now 6 of 9 in third down conversions for the Chicago Bears. Appears to be a good call by the official, but it's first and goal. And you think William Perry might go in the record books as the heaviest running back to score a touchdown?
I think he's getting the ball. He was awfully jubilant running into that huddle, bouncing around. He's set up now. Open backfield. Payton goes in motion. Perry's alone. No, McMahon takes it over the top, and he goes in, and the Chicago Bears extend their lead to 29-3. With 7:22 to go in the third quarter, the Bears score on their first possession of the second half.
Don, did you notice just as the ball was snapped, flash ball, expected the refrigerator to get the ball, and they wanted a picture of the biggest running back in the history of mankind scoring a touchdown.
McMahon's run for 2 now.
Those quarterbacks, especially ones like him, they'll tend to call their own number. I'll tell you this week, with all the interviews that you and I did, a guy from Rolling Stone talked to me. He said that if the Bears win the Super Bowl, McMahon's on the cover of Rolling Stone. His lifelong dream come true.
Here's the snap and set down on the point after. And the Bears are closer to a victory and McMahon closer to the cover, as it is now a 30-3 game. Chicago with 7:22 to play in the third quarter. Super Bowl 20 on NBC Radio. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy in New Orleans, Louisiana with the Chicago Bears. Dominant throughout the regular season with just the one loss to the Dolphins at Miami, have completely overpowered the New England Patriots in this Super Bowl game. The Dolphins were the only team to beat the Bears. The Patriots, who beat the Dolphins, thought they could, but Chicago has dominated from the outset, and right now the Bears lead New England 30-3 with 7:22 to go in the third quarter.
Don, this is not a bad New England football team. The point to make here is this is a bad year for a running football team to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. They have the Chicago Bears have absolutely just taken away the running game of the New England Patriots, and that's the basis for their success.
And defense, if there's ever been a better one, maybe we're not aware of it. The Steelers of the 70s were fabulous defensively. I don't think anybody's been as good as this Chicago team.
We got a 15-yard penalty here on New England for a face mask, so Butler will kick off from the 50-yard line.
It's a spinner into the end zone. They'll not bring it out. They'll down the ball for a touchback. Starring puts a knee down, and it comes out to the 20-yard line. First down and 10 for the Patriots, as they try again to muster something with minus yardage for the day offensively, now halfway through the third quarter of play.
Steve Grogan back in at quarterback. If they go back to those quick passes, the hitches, the quick outs, the slants to Morgan, I think it's probably their best bet.
Yeah, I heard an interesting observation at halftime from Bill Tobin, their personnel director. He said people say that Perry as a defensive tackle is not a dominant one, but he said we weren't a dominating defense until we started him in the second half of the Minnesota game. Since he's been in, we have been he was the missing piece because he takes so many people out. Here's a throw out to the far flat to Craig James that's dropped at the 16-yard line of New England. Grogan dropped, James swung out, and James couldn't hold on. It'll be second down and 10. Again, second down and 10 for the Patriots.
Don, remember, too, that this Chicago Bear football team started out in the preseason 1-3, and then allowed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 28 points in the first half of the opening game of the season, came back with 38 unanswered points, and then played the Patriots in week 2, and they were off to the races.
Were they? They had the division long won when they went to Miami and lost that Monday night game. And the Dolphins scored 31 first half points. But since then, the Bears have been back on track, particularly in the playoffs. Here's a pitch back to James, running to the near side. He crosses the 20 and gets ahead for just about a yard and a half or two on a 2nd and 10 play. Again, the Bear defense strings him out as he runs wide to his right and can't get anywhere.
Don, that was the option run by Steve Grogan, certainly putting the quarterback in jeopardy, but that's a goal line play. That's not a play that I think the New England Patriots would normally run if they're in this ball game in the middle of the field on 2nd down and 10. They have to resort to almost the last page of the playbook. The Bears were right there to make the stop.
Jim McMahon with 2 touchdowns running the ball for Chicago in an overall brilliant field general's job in the process of probably quarterbacking Chicago to a 26th win in his last 30 starts. He's 25-4 in his last 29 starts. Here's a pass, incomplete. It's going to be a touchdown for Chicago. Intercepted by Reggie Phillips, a tip ball, and he runs it in. So the Bear defense scores its 10th touchdown of the season. A tip ball at the 18-yard line, flew in the air, an extra defensive back, a rookie from SMU, Reggie Phillips. It was room service, as you call it, Trump, and he ran it in for 25 yards in a score.
He also becomes the 23rd Chicago Bear to score a touchdown. Reggie Phillips replacing Leslie Frazier, who went out with a knee injury. Ball tipped. It was intended for Derek Ramsey. A little pressure on Steve Grogan, but I'm telling you, it looks like there's 20 guys out there, and somebody's got to start saying, if there's a better defense that's ever played in the NFL, name it.
It's not here today. On the other side, that's for sure. The Patriots getting overwhelmed offensively and defensively, and their defense has been one of the best in the league. The Chicago Bears could put up the all-time Super Bowl score before day is done as Butler kicks the extra point with 6:16 to play in the third quarter. The score is the Chicago Bears 37, the Patriots 3, and some of the people I think are heading for Bourbon Street. 6:16 to go in the third quarter at Super Bowl 20. Don Criqui with Bob Crumpy as the Chicago Bears are now ready to kick the ball off from their 35-yard line. Kevin Butler, the rookie from Georgia, having an all-time kicker's day in the Super Bowl, or by day's end he should have one, as he's been a big part of all this, scoring 37 points for the Patriots, the most points ever put up in a Super Bowl with 38, but nobody has ever had this dominating a margin.
I got nothing to say. You're right. You said it all right there.
Here's Butler's kickoff, a high spinner. Carries down to the 11-yard line. Starts across the 10, across the 20, turns the corner to Stephen Stowing and gets out of bounds in front of the Chicago bench at the 29-yard line of New England. So again, Grogan brings out the offense. Helpless as it has been in moving the ball with any consistency against a Chicago defense. Our Patriots still minus yards total offense. They still are minus yards total offense.
That's never happened in the Super Bowl. And unfortunately for the New England Patriots, as we said at the outset, Don, this is a very conservative football team. What they do successfully out of repetition. They have established zero today. No point of attack. No one who seems to be able to get open. They have nothing to go to with 6:05 to go in the third quarter.
Their total offense is right at zero is New England's. Here is Grogan dropping to throw, first down, home run ball. Stanley Morgan's out there, and it's tipped away at the last moment of the 25-yard line of Chicago by Mike Richardson. Long ball throw by Grogan. Morgan had a step on the defense, but at the high throw came down. Richardson recovered and tipped it away.
The plus is Grogan had time to throw. They waited an awful long time, though, to throw the ball deep, and that's what Grogan has historically, as the quarterback of the New England Patriots, done so very well. But once again, the thought vulnerability of the cornerbacks of the Chicago Bears, all three cornerbacks who have been in the game today have played extremely well.
They really have. People thought they would be beaten deep. Of course, Leslie Frazier went out with an injury in the first half. And Phillips, who came in to replace it, scored a touchdown on an interception return. Here's a throw down over the middle. The ball is caught very nicely and fumbled. It's picked up by Wilbur Marshall. Chicago has the ball as Wilbur Marshall, linebackers inside the New England 40. He laterals the ball to Otis Wilson. And now, as it's a can you top this by the Bear defense with laterals, Chicago has the ball at the 23. Cedric Jones caught the ball for New England. He was hit and fumbled the ball. It was picked up by Wilbur Marshall, who ran it back. He tried to get some more yards by lateraling back to a fellow linebacker, Otis Wilson. He was knocked down by Craig James. The end result, Chicago has the ball with a 37-3 lead over the Patriots. Bears first and 10 at the Patriot 38.
You did that very well. That's exactly what happened, folks. I'm telling you. Criqui has it right on the number. That's exactly what happened. First and 10 at the 38. Chicago will go quick here. I'd look for Galt. This is a team that wants its own place in the record book. A championship ring and a Super Bowl title, I don't think, is enough for the Chicago Bears.
They're going to be going for more. Let's see if McMahon comes out throwing. He very well might. He pitches back to Walter Payton, who runs up the middle, breaks a tackle, and gets to the 30-yard line of New England. Steve Nelson knocks him down. I know that Mike Ditka has great respect for Raymond Berry. They were together at Dallas. He might call off the dogs here before this hunt is any worse.
Interesting, too, that Berry was his coach. Ditka was the player, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. They exchanged pleasantries, and you're right. I don't think Mike Ditka wants to rub it in with his good friend and former coach, but at the same time, I think this team deserves its own slot in history. Scoring the most points in the Super Bowl would give it that spot.
Right now, it's second down and 3 for Chicago at the 30-yard line. Pitch back, Payton runs near side, breaks inside the 30 and slants on down to the 24-yard line with a diving, darting move at the last moment. Knocked down by outside linebacker Don Blackman of the Patriots. But Walter Payton has a first down for Chicago.
Now I think we're seeing a New England Patriot defense that is just flat worn out. They have been on the field so much, gotten so little time to recover from their last stint on the field that you see people now starting to lose their legs out there a little bit. The heat is beginning to get to them, and the fatigue is starting to show.
And all the people around this Bear team talk about Ditka being a master at motivating his team to the supreme effort. just in time after the 2-week layoff. Here's Payton running wide to his right. He's going to lose yards as he tried to cut up field on the far side. He was knocked down at the New England 28-yard line on a quick move by Roland James, the strong safety, and by inside linebacker Steve Nelson. So the clock is ticking. It's down to 4:05, third quarter.
Mercifully, it's ticking. I remember a comment you made at a previous Chicago game, quoting Mike Ditka as saying, I want you players to put a chip on your shoulder and don't take it off until the season's over. Well, they got about 20 minutes, and they can remove that chip. It'll be replaced by a nice big ring and a Lombardi trophy.
It'll take some real big sizes to handle those defensive linemen's hands. And right now, McMahon drops to throw, stands at the New England 37, throws an out pattern. Payton loses the ball. It's incomplete at the 36-yard line of New England on the far side.
He almost threw that right to Andre Tippett. Tippett was right there. Ben Thomas eventually put pressure on McMahon. There was no reason for him to throw that out there, but he did. This is the time now when Chicago can get sloppy, and I really can't say that I blame them. I mean, how do you keep your mind in a game when you're leading 37-3 and your opponents have 0 yards total offense?
I think one of the reasons that they could keep their mind in the game is just what you said, is getting the most overwhelming score in Super Bowl history to back up their brilliant season. Right now, though, they're set to go are the Chicago Bears from a shotgun. McMahon drops back to the New England 35. He's running and throwing on the run. A man is open. It's caught in the end zone, and the man steps out of bounds at the 1-yard line. They rule. It is a reception, though. Dennis Gentry out of the backfield caught the ball. They're going to really caught it out of bounds.
Yeah, at the 1-foot line, at the 1-yard line.
Well, he caught it in bounds then, but he stepped out before going into the end zone.
He was uncovered. You're right. 27 yards on the catch, and now once again the fatigue of the New England Patriots is showing up. They're starting to miss assignments. They're starting to leave receivers open down the field.
So the man, Dennis Gentry, got the ball and ran into the end zone, but they really stepped out at the 1-yard line. Now William Perry's in the Chicago backfield again. I think William thinks he's bringing the play that calls for him, number 72, but McMahon's just taking it over the top.
He may go at quarterback here before this game is over. Make sure McMahon doesn't take it over the top.
Man has scored 2 touchdowns. First and goal from the 1-yard line. Snap, handoff, William Perry. He's in for a touchdown. Whoa, the topper was just put on. Big William crashed into the right side of the New England defense, just thundered through it, broke it open like a rock through ice, and just then the scoreboard clock stopped with 3:22 to play in the third quarter, and the scoreboard number goes up to 43 for Chicago.
You said a rock through ice? More like dropping a piano from the 4th floor.
So Big William scores his 4th touchdown of the year.
He's got that ball underneath his arm, and I guarantee he's not going to let it go.
And there was no doubt he was in the end zone.
You're right.
Now Kevin Butler to try a point after. Here's the snap and set down. Butler's kick is on the way, and it's good. And with 3:22 to play in the third quarter, the Chicago Bears have extended their string of unanswered points to 44. As after the Patriots took a 3-0 lead, Chicago's come back now to lead this Super Bowl 44-3 in the third quarter. The Bears ready to kick off again. Kevin Butler has put his foot in the ball a lot of times today, kicking off, kicking field goals, kicking extra points, as the Chicago Bears have taken a 44-3 lead over New England in the third quarter. NFL Player Association statistics released last week show that the Bears were 24th in the 28-team NFL in average salary. I think there's going to be some hard negotiations going on.
There's going to be about $64,000 in each man's pocket after this football game is over for the Chicago Bears.
Kick downfield. Stowering runs it back up the middle for New England and gets to the 24-yard line where he's jolted by a hard hit, spun around and knocked to the turf. Ryan Cabral got him, a 20-yard return, and the Patriots, demoralized, send their offense out yet again, trailing 44-3.
At 44 points is a Super Bowl record, and by the way, on NBC's replay, that reception by Dennis Gentry on the last drive, he was out of bounds. Should not have counted. But when it goes your way, it goes your way.
He was out of bounds.
He was out of bounds. He did not have 2 feet in.
Well, they've gotten 10 then that have been done gifts, but they're still fighting now. The Patriots, as they get the throw now after Stowering on the far side,
Patriots going to be able to gain yards because the Chicago Bears are going to be in a prevent style. They're not going to let anybody get deep on them, and the edge of this game is gone.
44-3 is the score. Chicago in the lead. Third quarter, 3:05 to play in it. Patriots in red and white, moving left to right. Brogan stops, throws far side. The ball is caught by Stanley Morgan. Did he have it inbounds? They rule he did. He's got the ball at the 48-yard line of Chicago. Bobbled the ball on the far side of the field after it touched his hands in front of the Bears bench, but it's a 13-yard gain.
Jim McMahon on the Bears sideline having a big ice pack administered to his wrist. It looks like Steve Fuller is going to play the rest of the football game for the Chicago Bears.
At least it's his left wrist, not his throwing arm. Looks like McMahon's season has ended, but what a season it was, as he goes out with an injury to his left hand with 2:58 to play. In the third quarter, Bears leading 44-3. Quarterback against the blitz, stands in, they pick it up, throws a long ball, Scourings downfield. It's almost intercepted by Mike Richardson at the 15-yard line, right down over the middle of the 15-yard line of Chicago. And a marker's down at the line of scrimmage and also in the Bears secondary. Well thrown ball, and again, very fine coverage by the Bears secondary as they broke the play up.
Offsides against the Bears defense. It'll be a 1st and 5 call for New England now.
Lined up in the neutral zone.
Football team is as good as the New England Patriots have played over the last 14 weeks, winning 12 of those 14 games in this situation. Down 44-3, they deserve a better fate.
Well, they've had a great year. It didn't end on a happy note. Not over yet, but it's out of reach. But their spirit and their play this season has been tremendous. The way they came back, the first team, and to go to the Super Bowl as a wild card since the Raiders did an 80 and won the game. We pause 5 seconds now for station identification.
Don, the Patriots now have 2 big backs in there, Robert Weathers and Mosi Tutuku.
And they're going to try to just jam the ball at him, or they're probably into pass block for Grogan.
Yes.
Dent was offside. Penalty marker goes. Free play for New England. The ball is caught by Derek Ramsey, the tight end, far side of the field. He cuts up and gets down to the Chicago 28-yard line.
The only trouble is we got 2 flags. I think we got one against the defense and one against the offense. I think there's going to be an illegal pick called on New England and offsides on Chicago. Let me see what the call is.
Offside. Number 95 on the defense. That penalty is declined. First down.
Oh, okay, just one penalty.
They got some evening up to do.
Yeah. You know, the people I feel sorriest for, not the New England Patriots in this game. How about Al Harris and Todd Bell, 2 Chicago Bears who held out. Todd Bell is sitting in Middletown, Ohio, still looking for more money, and he may be back next year, but he'll be without a Super Bowl ring if it stays the way it is.
He's some player, though. Fensick said he's never seen anything like him. He said he turns games with his hits. But not this year. They won without him. Here is Grogan on the run up the middle of the field. He falls to the turf and gets to the 26-yard line of Chicago. Steve Grogan, an excellent runner at one time in his career, but with surgical knees and a leg fracture earlier this season, he's very hesitant to go any distance against this defense. Otis Wilson didn't help him, though. He fell right at him when he slid down.
Down to this point in the ballgame, the Chicago Bears have collected 21 first downs. The New England Patriots, 6. And I think they've had 3 in this particular drive, so that's 3 for the first 2 3/4 quarters of this football game.
I speculated people would be leaving after that second last touchdown, but this place is still jammed to capacity, the Superdome. Grogan drops the throw again, fires down the middle of Stanley Morgan. It's tipped away again by Richardson, and again Stanley Morgan had a step on him. He's at the 4-yard line of Chicago when the ball came in over the middle, and Richardson tipped it away and saved a touchdown. Again, there are 2 penalty markers down on the playing field.
Getting a little sloppy out here, but I think it's understandable to a point. Offsides against the defense once again. I think the Bears are trying to...
Offside. Number 58 on the defense. Still second down.
Wilbur Marshall, I think the Bears are trying to collect as many sacks as they possibly can. That's the 4th pass now broken up by Mike Richardson on the day. He's played a spectacular game.
Well, it's been a great week in New Orleans, if not a great day for the New England Patriots, culminating the Super Bowl week as the Chicago Bears, in a football celebration from virtually start to finish in 1985 and now into the 86 Super Bowl, are dominating this game 44-3 with 57 seconds left to play still in the third quarter.
A report from the Bear bench, Jim McMahon has a sprained left wrist. And we still see Steve Fuller warming up on the sideline. You know, the Chicago Bears, they wear that GSH on the sleeve of their jerseys. George Halas, a guy who started professional football, and he wasn't here to see it. I still harken back to what a lot of people have said when they played the New York Giants, and that punt by Sean Landeta kind of moved a little bit in the air. Someone said it was the ghost of Papa Bear. George Halas moved that, and the Bears have not looked back since.
They haven't. What a year. What a coach, Mike Ditka, who of course was the All-Pro tight end in the 1963 season. And the Bears beat the Giants for their last NFL championship. It was a bitter cold day at Wrigley Field in Chicago, and the Bears prevailed 14-10. There have been a lot of lean years since then. In fact, Chicago won no championship of any kind until last season, when they were the NFC Central champions, but out of the playoffs quickly. And this year, the Bears rolled. They had the Division I after 11 games.
How about the city of Chicago? They waited a long time for the Cubs, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, or the Bears. Now these guys are the toasts of the town.
There's T-shirts out here. I picked the Bears, but I also had the Cubs in '84. A lot of Chicago teams have come up empty. Not today. Swing pass goes out to Robert Weathers. A fire-out pass by Steve Grogan. He hits his running back out of the backfield out to the 18-yard line of Chicago, where Wilbur Marshall tackled him and is slow getting up.
That's a first down for New England. Bad news is, folks, the Chicago Bears are the youngest team in the NFC. I mean, project 365 days from now. The way this defense plays, and if these guys don't go, if they don't cruise themselves and rubber chicken themselves out of the league, these guys got to be a favorite pick for next season.
Overwhelming pick. McMahon's in only his fourth year. The quarterback, who could very well end up as most valuable player of Super Bowl 20. Right now, the Patriots are challenging, if but too late. Now Grogan looks. He's going to be sacked by Hampton back at the 29-yard line. Dan Hampton grabbed him, lost him, and then threw Steve Grogan down. That's the sixth sack of this game by the Chicago defense. Loss of 10.
That's another 10-yard loss. You know, I think if I were Raymond Berry, I'd put Tom Ramsey in the ball game. I don't think I'd want...
I think if this were a fight, they'd stop it.
Yeah, well, we can't do that, unfortunately. It's got to go 15 rounds, but we only got one quarter left.
Well, old Yogi said, it ain't over till it's over, but this one's over. The end of the third quarter of play, the Chicago Bears 44, the New England Patriots 3.
It now brings up third down and goal from about the 8-yard line.
Patriots have averaged 11 yards to go on third down in this game. They converted 1 of 9. Bears are warming up another quarterback, Steve Fuller, ready to put the ball in play. Put the Bears offense in play when they get it back. As Grogan drops on third down, looks into the end zone. He throws. It's incomplete at the 5-yard line on the near side to Stanley Morgan. Grogan had a hurry against a big rush, and he threw the ball too high. Morgan, with that great speed, despite his many years in the league and his 9th year from Tennessee, couldn't get to the ball.
Ball was tipped by the receiver Stanley Morgan, and Reggie Phillips almost had his second interception, and if he catches it, he goes 99 the other way. It's now fourth down and goal, and the Patriots are going for it.
Open hope. Can they kick a field goal?
Well, I don't know.
You really don't in this game.
But they're going for it.
Everything's happening. And all of it good for Chicago. Fourth down and goal for New England. From the 9-yard line, a throw over the middle, touchdown to Irving Fryer, a post pattern, and the Patriots get on the board. And one side of the stadium cheers them, where the Patriot fans are located, but it's met with a stony silence on the far side, where all those Bear fans have been cheering all day sit. 44-9 now.
8 yards on the catch, a simple slant pattern run by Irving Fryer. Probably the best natural athlete on the field today. Outstanding speed. He is the one with the bad finger, but Grogan put it right on the money. And the Patriots finally on the scoreboard, and they're the first team to score a field goal and points against the Chicago Bears. So I guess psychologically they've done a little better than some people thought they might, including me.
Well, they're ready now to try the point after, and it's picked up and good by Tony Franklin. So the Patriots trailing 44-10 to Chicago. But the Patriots have scored 10 points, and that's 10 more than the Giants and the Rams could score combined against the Bears defense in 2 previous playoff games. The Bears will be getting the ball back with Chicago in the lead, 44-10. 13-14 left to play in Super Bowl 20 from the Superdome in New Orleans. Don Quickie with Bob Trumpy on NBC Radio, where the New England Patriots have just gotten on the board with their first touchdown of the game, their second score. They now trail Chicago 44-10. An 8-yard slant-in throw, Grogan to Irving Fryar, the first touchdown of the day for the Patriots. Tony Franklin is ready to kick it off right to left as we're located. Back deep for Chicago with a rare kickoff return. Willie Galt and Dennis Gentry. Ball's going to carry to Galt at the 8, near side. He's across the 10, cuts to the far side of the field with his world-class speed, but then he's chopped as he gets to the 23. There, the Bears going offense first and 10 with Steve Fuller at quarterback. Jim McMahon, who had another brilliant day in the playoffs, is out with a sprained left wrist. He throws with the right hand.
On that last drive by the New England Patriots, they had the ball 5 minutes and 8 seconds. And they had the ball a grand total of 7 minutes and 55 in the entire first half. That's how dominated this New England offense has been throughout the football game. Now Steve Fuller at quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Fuller has his team set deny with orders to run the ball, no doubt. He does. Gives it off to Walter Payton, who thunders ahead and gets to the 31. When the Bears talk about individuals they want to reward, Walter Payton, the cornerstone of the franchise. In his 11th year, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, coming off perhaps his best regular season, almost 1,600 yards and 49 receptions. Walter Payton's going to get a Super Bowl ring at long last, and he got 7 yards on that last carry.
John, I've said it before, and it's worth repeating, that Walter Payton is the NFL's all-time leading rusher, and this year is the first year he's ever had a Pro Bowl offensive lineman in front of him. So when you're considering who the best is, take that fact and consider it.
He's got a few now. Covert's going, so is the center Hilgenberg. Here's a handoff again. Payton runs it and doesn't get much into the middle of the New England defense. He busts across the Chicago 30, puts his head down, and got to about the line of scrimmage, which was just short of the 32-yard line of Chicago. So it'll be 3rd down and 2 from there.
Kieran Barris, once again with the tackle on Walter Payton, has played an outstanding game for his first Super Bowl. Actually, there are only 3 players from either team who have made any appearances in the Super Bowl, all with New England. Tony Franklin, Derek Ramsey, and I'm missing somebody else for Philadelphia. Guy Morris, the center. They're the only 3 players in this game who have been in the Super Bowl before.
Jim McMahon hands off. Walter Payton runs to his left, turns to the outside. He cuts upfield, is out of bounds at the 33-yard line, very close to a Bear first down. He needed just under 2 yards and got about that. We'll see where they spot the ball. Roland James ran him out of bounds.
Let me complete that list. There are 4 players. Greg Hawthorne is the one player that I left out. Now there's another one. Andy Frederick for the Chicago Bears, played with the Dallas Cowboys. Do I have any more candidates? We started out with none. Now we got it to 5 players who have played in a previous Super Bowl.
Some of these Patriots, as we mentioned, 6 of them played for 4 different coaches at New England before Raymond Berry came in. Players like Julius Adams, the 14th year defensive end, and Steve Nelson, the Pro Bowl linebacker in his 12th year, have waited a long time to win anything in this league. They won this year very big in the playoffs till they got to the final game. Now a punt downfield. Maury Buford kicks it down. It's taken by Irving Fryar. He cuts to the near side, crosses the 25-yard line and the 30, and dives out across the 35 to the 38-yard line. Irving Fryar, who scored the only touchdown of the game for New England, returns the punt. It's 1st and 10 for the Patriots with the Bears in command, 44-10.
Now that was just the second punt by Maury Buford on the day.
We'll be back to the Superdome after this. Back at Super Bowl 20, 11:23 to play in the game. The Chicago few years ago, Trump, if it's the ultimate game, why are they playing it again next year?
Dwayne Thomas said that.
Is that right? That's one of the better things he said. Here's a fumble as the ball is thrown over the middle of Derek Ramsey. He caught it at the 44-yard line of New England. He was hit with a jolting hit, and the ball popped free, and Chicago has it. Singletary gets the ball.
I think it was Dave Durson that made the hit. Ramsey was open, wide open over the middle. Another turnover for the Chicago Bears. And Steve Grogan dejectedly goes to the sideline looking at a 44-10 score. He throws one on the money, and then the receiver can't hang on. You were mentioning earlier about players and what they've gone through. Both of these teams have gotten well from the 1983 draft. That's the fourth turnover for the Chicago Bears. Each one of these teams starts 8 players from the 1983 draft.
He's standing there.
That's Sean Gale that made the hit on Ramsey. Singletary with the recovery of the fumble.
Fuller drops the throw for Chicago, fires on the run. Margarine has the ball and loses it for the moment. Incomplete at the 25-yard line of New England. A throw over the middle, a line drive throw. Margarine ran a deep pattern, cut back. The ball was there, but the coverage does too, and Lepet recovered. Broke it up.
There's been a lot of balls that have been close to receptions. Mike Richardson's knocked away several passes today. Lepet, although burned early by Willie Gault, has not had a bad day. It's just the time on the field by the New England defense is the thing that's absolutely killed their chances. No offense. That means the defense is on the field for an awful lot of downs.
Now Fuller sets his team. Second down and 10 at the New England 42-yard line. Hand up. Walter Payton turns to the near side, breaks one tackle, and is finally knocked down at the 41-yard line of the Patriots by Ronnie Lepet, the left side cornerback. A gain of only 2 yards as the Patriots come up and force the run and knock down Walter Payton.
Now, this is the 4th time that the Chicago Bears have started a drive inside the 50-yard line, their opponent's side of the 50-yard line today. With field position like that and with a defense like they have, this has not been a very tough game for them. Would you agree?
No, it hasn't. It was just for the moment early, and then they scored all those unanswered points, extending that lead to 44-3 at one point. Before New England scored, it now stands at 44-10. Here's a shotgun snap to Fuller, throwing from midfield for Chicago. He lofts it down. The ball's off the hands of Walter Payton at the 24-yard line of New England on the far side. Pass just a bit high for Walter Payton, who had Don Blackman, the outside linebacker, beaten. So the Bears come up empty on a 3rd down try, and they'll have to punt the ball.
More than happy to punt. Bears are trying desperately to get Walter Payton a big play in this Super Bowl. You get that feeling? Trying to break him loose on a run, get him loose on a pass.
They sure want him in the end zone.
Yeah, they sure want him in the end zone. There's no question about that. That's a real trivia question. Who didn't score in the Chicago Bears win? William Perry did. Walter Payton did
twice.
Walter Payton didn't.
A snap, then a punt. Buford hits the ball towards the end zone. It carries down close. It hops at the 5 and takes a bounce back upfield, and the Bears will down it at the 3-yard line of New England.
Oh.
So the storm continues on the Patriot chances. 37-yard punt, but it's down at the New England 3, and when we come back to Super Bowl 20, the Patriots will have the ball 1st and 10, but Chicago has the lead 44-10. With Bob Crumpy, this is Don Quickie back at Super Bowl 20 in New Orleans. After the game, Stan Martin and Jack O'Rourke will be going to the locker rooms to talk to the winners and the losers. As the game really has been final for a long time, still with 9:55 yet to play, and the Patriots routed in this game by a tremendous Chicago team. It's a 44-10 score, Bears at the moment.
Yeah, I think if I were Steve Grogan, I'd ask Raymond Berry if he had considered the single wing here. Try to keep the quarterback out of trouble, keep him healthy. Steve Grogan's not a spring chicken. Let's try to make sure he can come back for 1986.
He is 12th here, Steve Grogan, now in his 11th. Patriots starting out as Grogan drops into his end zone to throw. Takes a look and fires a long ball for Irving Fryer. He's running under it and just can't get to it. Overthrown as the ball drops incomplete just in front of him at the Chicago 43-yard line. Grogan firing at all that distance from his end zone. Fryer with his unbelievable speed beat the Bears secondary. There was a step short of catching the ball.
The Bears secondary is taking this 4th quarter off now. They're not really interested in chasing the an athlete the caliber of Irving Fryer, 95 yards. They're going to give up an awful lot here. As we said earlier, I think basically the edge is off this game. There's nothing left to play for. Just what time do they start the party?
It started in most parts of Chicago, I would think, by now. Here now is a quick out. The ball goes to Stanley Morgan. He jumps over a tackler along the near sideline and runs it out across the New England 15-yard line out to the 19-yard line. And there it will be, a first down for the Patriots.
Stays inbounds. Good block by Brian Holloway out in front of that little slip screen by Stanley Morgan. That's the one thing that the New England Patriots have not done today. Come up with a big play. This has been a big play offense, and the Bears have just taken that out of them, too.
Well, the Patriots, the first wild card team since the Raiders in '80 to advance to the Super Bowl. New England getting here with road wins over the Jets, the Raiders, and Miami. And now a swing pass goes out to Tony Collins on first down. Tony Collins is out to the 29-yard line of New England. Very close. It looks like he has another Patriot first down.
Mike Hartenstein on the tackle. He's the guy who was replaced by William Perry. Put him in, 11-yard pickup by Tony Collins. And you got to admire Raymond Berry and the New England Patriots. They're not going to make a game of it, but they're not going to go out there 3 plays and out and just let the final 8, 9, or 10 minutes go. They're going to try to get the ball down the field as best they possibly can. Save some embarrassment.
Game clock is down to 8:19 and running in the fourth quarter of Super Bowl 20. Rogan at quarterback, drops to throw, standing at his 20-yard line, throws near sideline. The ball is caught by Irving Fryer at the 45-yard line of New England. He steps out of bounds, but it is another first down against the prevent defense of Chicago, as the Bears, I think, are just hoping for the clock to tick.
Sure. 15 yards on that catch. Reggie Phillips on the coverage. Now, let's consider this. Irving Fryer had that well-documented hand injury with whatever happened with the knife, and he has not played much from scrimmage. He didn't play in a Miami Dolphins game at all. He's played rather well in his second half. I wonder what effect he might have had for the New England Patriots had he played the entire football game. You just don't know.
Dropping to throw now is Grogan. He lofts the ball downfield. It's intercepted by Chicago, and it might go in for a touchdown. Jim Morrissey from Northwestern is down inside the 10. He's knocked down at the 5. Cedric Jones knocked him down as linebacker Jim Morrissey, a backup, an excellent special teams player, intercepted the ball and ran it back 47 yards. Almost the second defender to score today for Chicago. Already a rookie cornerback, Reggie Phillips, has gone in with an interception for a touchdown.
Some justification, some irony there. That linebacker for the Chicago Bears, Jim Morrissey, wears number 51. Worn so well by Dick Butkus for so many years, I don't think that Dick ever had a winning season. 51 almost got in the end zone.
Is that true that Butkus never had a winning season?
I don't think for the Chicago Bears. No. He and Gale Sayers were two of the best players in the history of the game, and one winning season in their 2 careers. Isn't that something?
It really is.
There is no justice in this world if 2 players of that caliber can't enjoy this.
Nobody's been able yet. You mentioned the incident with the knife in Irving Fryer to figure out just what happened, but there was a happy report. The original one speculation by the Boston Globe was that he was stabbed by his wife after an argument in a restaurant in the parking lot. Then there was a report that the Fryers were seen hugging at the Patriots Foxborough training camp. Don Imus, the well-known morning man on WNBC radio in New York, said he wasn't hugging his wife, he was frisking her. Whatever, he's back in the lineup today and has made some big plays and probably could have made a lot more had he been in from the start.
Well, that's a factor. He did not practice the week before the Miami game, and they certainly didn't need him. But he still has that cast on his finger. What's left to say? Time of possession, almost, it's 32 minutes to 19 minutes in favor of the Bears. Yards, score, turnovers.
Everything. Now the Bears looking to take it in one more time if they can. Handoff, and Payton tries the middle, and the Patriots are still fighting on defense as they put hard hits on Sir Walter. He's knocked down at the 4-yard line. It'll be second down and goal for Chicago from there, as Smiley Creswell, a backup defensive end, made a hard hit for New England.
They are still trying
5 seconds for station identification. Back at the Superdome in New Orleans, the Bears now have the ball down to the 4-yard line of New England, where it is second down and goal there for Chicago. The Bears in the lead 44-10. High set in the backfield. Payton might get it. He does, and a pitch back running wide to his left. Turns upfield, and Payton is down to the 3 with a penalty marker down.
That's holding against Chicago. That's holding against Chicago. Steve Nelson on the tackle. Going to make it second down. And about 13. Walter may not score a touchdown in this. Illegal use of the hands by the Chicago Bears.
6:59 to go. The deluge has not stopped yet as the Bears still looking to punch it in, as we'll see the penalty assessment. Red Cashin, the referee. Mike Ditka, head coach of the Chicago Bears in his 4th year. Even through his 3rd year, there was some conjecture, would he be back?
People really questioned the hiring of Mike Ditka because he was a special teams coach for the Dallas Cowboys. And most people thought, this is just George Halas once again trying to keep the legacy of George Halas alive. Well, surprise, surprise. No Bear team has ever played like this Bear team.
They really haven't. Not since the 40s anyway. They won a Super Bowl in the 40s, 73-0, as I remember. Watson and the boys were at work. Here is the throw by McMahon into the end zone. It's incomplete. And another throw by Fuller. Steve Fuller, and a hard throw, but an incomplete pass is also followed by a couple of penalty markers down.
Yeah, he was across the line of scrimmage when he threw that. That's not only a penalty, but a loss of down. He scrambled to avoid the rush, trying desperately to get it in the end zone. It appeared he just stepped over the line of scrimmage, so it'll cost him a down. And it'll cost them yards, too.
Brogan came in the second quarter for New England, did his very best. Eason, down with the flu this week, was unable to move the team. The awesome pass rush of Chicago just overwhelmed Tony Eason.
Number 4 on the offense.
Now they're calling Fuller for an illegal forward pass and a loss of down. Brogan, a longtime veteran for the Patriots, came in and has done his best to move the team. He did get them into the end zone once on an 8-yard throw to Irving Fryer, but too little and much too late. 44-10 the score with 6:36 to play in the game. Chicago en route to its first Super Bowl championship.
That penalty, the 7th called against the Chicago Bears today, just 3 against New England.
On 3rd down, the give is up the middle to Calvin Thomas, a 235-pound fullback from Illinois, who hits down to the 11-yard line. Straight draw play right up the middle. And that, on a 3rd down play, brings up 4th down, and now they look to the sidelines, and Ditka's now sending out his field goal unit.
There's a New England Patriot down on the field, too. That tackle was made by Roland James. I think it's... can't tell who is down on the field, but he appears to be really injured. Now the medical staff of the New England Patriots out to try to help the player as best they possibly can.
So while the injured might be Garen Veras, the rookie.
Oh, he's had an outstanding game, even though his defense has given up 44 points. Not totally the defense's fault, but it's such a blowout. No one in the stadium is really enjoying this at this point.
But they're all here.
They're all here, you're right.
And it wasn't cheap to get in here unless you got a Super Bowl ticket in the regular allotment for the $75 face value. Word that they traded for as high as $1,500 apiece during the past week on the black market.
Now, I got one for you. I can verify this too. I have a friend who lives in Alexandria, Louisiana, who got a call from a travel agency, and he had 4 tickets on the 40-yard line for this Super Bowl. He traded them for 2 trips around the world. I am not joking. I saw the tickets for the trips around the world on cruise lines, and I'm not talking about the rowboat kind. I'm talking about the one with the...
maybe with the round trip he got a 4.
No. I'm talking about the ones with the bikinis and the buffet 7 times a day. I'm talking the real stuff.
The real thing.
2 trips around the world.
All right, because now we have to go in Super Bowl 20 and an injured Patriot being attended to on this most unfortunate day for New England. On their first play from scrimmage, the Patriots lost a tight end for the game when Lynn Dawson went down with what appeared to be a serious knee injury, just cut and twisted going for a ball and blew out a knee.
And Leslie Frazier for the Chicago Bears went down with a knee injury. He's on the sideline in sweats. He appears to be seriously injured, and we don't know the extent of Garen Barris's injury, but he's still on the field being attended to by the medical staff of the New England Patriots.
The game started with looked like the great New England defense, which had won so many playoff games forcing turnovers, was going to go en route that way again today. Walter Payton, second carry, the second play from scrimmage in the game, and the ball was jolted free on a jarring hit by the man who's now being attended to, Garen Barris, and we're happy to report he's getting up and appears to be all right. And then the Bears gave up a field goal when they stopped New England on 3 passing downs, but that was the only scoring for the Patriots until a short time ago when they did get the touchdown throw. But it's over long ago. 44-10 in the count. The Chicago Bears in the lead on way to a Super Bowl championship.
And here's a question for you. Who would you pick as the most valuable player of this game?
Chicago Bear defense. I think, again, you have to hand out 11 defense. And who do you single out in the defense?
I don't know if you can single anyone. Maybe Mike Richardson for all the tip passes. Singletary, the fumble recoveries. 2 fumble recoveries. Otis Wilson with his sacks. Richard Dent, you're right. You can't single out anybody. McMahon will probably get it, though. That's the easy choice. He scored 2 touchdowns and wore 9 different headbands.
Played a great game, yeah.
So that qualifies him as the MVP. The 9 headbands.
Yeah, he did have a few on today. Handoff goes up the middle. Payton dancing and darting, moves inside the 5-yard line and gets down to the 4. And so on 4th down, the Bears not looking to pour it on, go to a straight-ahead draw run to Walter Payton instead of kicking the field goal. And New England will take over the ball.
Larry McGrew on the tackle. And that's nice of Mike Ditka. 44 points is enough. We turn it over to the offense. Steve Grogan back out on the field. Bad field position, though.
Now I think he's hoping for Raymond Berry to reciprocate with nice guyism and run the ball and let the party begin for Chicago. 5:48 to play. But over long ago with the Bears in the lead, 44-10 on NBC Radio. As now New England huddling in their own end zone, ready to try one more time. Well, they'll probably get the ball again with this much time remaining. Not only the highest scoring Super Bowl for one team, but probably the longest.
Yeah. Get this, in the 2 times these 2 teams have met, the Chicago Bears have collected 12 quarterback sacks, 12 turnovers. How about that? No, I take that back. 9 turnovers. 9 turnovers. 12 quarterback sacks and 9 turnovers in the 2 games that they have played this year against the New England Patriots.
You played, Bob Trumpy, as a Cincinnati Bengal for 10 years against those great Steeler teams. Have you ever seen a Steeler team you thought was as dominant defensively as the Chicago team?
Absolutely not. No. I think you can go back to the Steeler team. The thing about that team was that it was a very basic defense, and they beat you with execution. So do the Bears. But there are so many times that sacks are made by players who are untouched. And when you played the Pittsburgh Steelers, they came up with a big play to stop you. This team stopped you on every down. That was always the thing that used to drive me nuts about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. With George Perlis as their defensive coordinator, he'd call the blitz at the right time, and it would destroy everything that you're doing, and it'd be 4th down. But you'd drive 30 or 40 yards, then they'd stop you. This team leads the NFL in 3 downs and out. No team, I don't think, has ever dominated from beginning to end the football game like the Chicago Bears have the capability of doing, have done today and this season. I mean, it takes every bit of the heart out of the offense. When you're out there doing your best, working your hardest, there is just nothing psychologically you can go to. And then your defense, when you walk off the field, you can see in their faces, hey, fellas, how about giving us a break? I mean, it suffocates you.
Right now, the Patriots are set to go. Grogan drops to his end zone. Pump fakes. He throws a long ball down the near side. The Bears have it well covered, and they break it up at the 45-yard line of the Patriots along the near sideline. 10 receiver was Stephen Starring, and the Chicago defenders running stride for stride with him. Sean Gale was with him, and so was Reggie Phillips, the rookie from SMU. a number 2 draft choice the last time around, who had a big moment today, scoring a touchdown and an interception return for Chicago.
Yeah, you'd have to talk to other people who have played against the doomsday defense of the Dallas Cowboys, or the purple people eaters of the Minnesota Vikings, or I played against the no-name defense of the Miami Dolphins. They gave you a chance. This team does not even give you a chance.
They're not giving Grogan one. They get him for a sack in the end zone.
Yeah, that's a safety.
It's a safety. And 2 more points go on the board for Chicago as the defense gets them. Sacking Grogan, he tried to fire the ball away sidearm, but could not. It was ruled a sack in the end zone, a safety, and 2 points for Chicago. The 7th sack of this game for the Bear defense.
Henry Waxter gets him in the end zone. Waxter scores. Perry scores. Payton does not in Super Bowl 20. That's the headline. Grogan tries to throw the ball out of the end zone, but it's to no avail. The Chicago Bears offense going to get the ball back. The New England Patriots will have a free kick from the 20-yard line. That's his 2nd safety this year, by the way.
You know, we had talked about the Bears, and you have to talk about the Bears, Trump, and just the absolutely brilliant season they've had, culminating with this overwhelming win today. But the Patriots are concluding the most successful season in the franchise history, and it's 26 years. And certainly they have much to build on with so many good young players, like their quarterback, Eason, who played so well in the regular season. Did not have a good day today, but no Patriot really did against the Bears, who dominated from the outset. But you cannot deny what New England has done to get here. They had to beat Cincinnati in the final regular season game when the Bengals were playing well. They did. Then they went against the Jets in the cold of Giant Stadium, the Meadowlands of New Jersey. Had to win, and they did. Had to go to Los Angeles to beat the Raiders, something they hadn't done in years. They won again there, coming from a 17-7 deficit to beat Los Angeles. Then they dominated the Dolphins, exercising a demon of not having won in the Orange Bowl prior to that since 1966. So it has been a great year for the Patriots as the free kick is taken by Willie Gault, who runs out of bounds on the far side of the field, out of bounds at the 27. And Chicago's offense comes out with 5:24 to play. And the Bears, one would think, are ready to run the ball on their basic dive play.
Yeah, Don, you mentioned all that New England has accomplished, and it's certainly something that you can't sneeze at. But unfortunately, what everyone is going to remember is a 46-10 loss in the Super Bowl to the Chicago Bears. That will be the lasting memory of this season, unfortunately. I don't think for the players, they'll get over it in a hurry, but for the fans, this is not something that will sit well with anyone in Boston.
Rolling out is Fuller, and he's going to be sacked. An 8th sack for the New England. This is a sack for the New England defense by Ben Thomas, who got through. A big defensive end from Auburn, a rookie. And now with 5:18 to play in the game, the Bears are thrown back. Fuller sacked for an 11-yard loss on the play.
I think that's the 3rd sack of the day for the New England Patriots.
7 for Chicago.
There have been a lot of minus yardage today, hasn't there? I still don't know who to pick as the MVP. I really don't. We're supposed to turn in our ballots for the MVP. Buddy Ryan.
Well, that's not a bad one at all. You got to single out one person, and I think it has to come from the defense. Rolling out to his left, Steve Fuller. He throws on the run downfield. It's incomplete at the 47-yard line of Chicago in front of the Bears bench on the far side. And so with 4:47 to go, the intended receiver, Reitman, couldn't get to the ball. NFL Live follows this broadcast on NBC Radio. You can join us by calling 1-800-NFL Live. Jack O'Rourke will be in the Bears locker room. Stan Martin in the Patriots locker room, a 2-hour edition. You can also join Bob Trumpy, who will be talking to you. A special Super Bowl edition of NFL Live as the score stands. Chicago 46, New England 10, with 4:47 to go. 2 Patriots have been shaken up badly in this game, and the Bears have lost a couple of people with injuries, including cornerback Leslie Frazier. We don't know how seriously he's hurt. He's really come out as a cornerback. A lot of people on the Bears have scored today, including a couple of defenders. But Walter Payton has not. Long ball downfield to Gentry, incomplete. So Fuller comes out throwing. Who knows? They do this all the time when they're way ahead.
Well, let's stop it. Roland James on the coverage pushed Dennis Gentry out of from the field of play. Was not an eligible receiver, so let's just stop this. Let me call Mike Ditka here and said, run the dive play, son. Okay?
Remember in game games we saw. In fact, in the first New England game, when the Bears were dominating, leading 20-7 with time running out, they still had Jim McMahon in, rolling out and throwing, and a now injured defensive end for New England, Ken Sims, blasted him full force and knocked him out of the game. He wasn't seriously hurt, but he could have been when they were throwing at a time there was no need to throw. Bears ready to punt the ball now from inside their 5-yard line. A knuckleball kick hit downfield, and Irving Fryer takes it at the 40, running straight ahead. He does to the outside and is out of bounds at the 49-yard line as a penalty marker is down.
That's a push in the back.
Mike Tomczak is warming up on the Bears sideline. They're going to go to a third quarterback when they get the ball back. Right now, the New England offense is coming out, hoping to get something in the end zone if they can.
No question about it, Merlin, and I can remember his talk in the locker room after the game, and building towards next year, and the sad feeling in that locker room having come this far and knowing that you got to go back and do all the hard work just to get back to where you were before that Super Bowl game. We came back and went 17-0. We were really very motivated.
Buford under pressure just does get it away to Fryer at the New England 39. Down as Fryer out of bounds at the 49. 44-yard punt, 10-yard return. Well, the refrigerator has been part of this Chicago story this year. And what's in there? What is in there? Yeah, we've been chronicling his efforts today. Number 72 on defense, playing a tackle. Oh, driving Grogan. But he suddenly become a star in offense. Wanted to throw for a touchdown. Tucked it away and took half a team to bring him down.
Watch this one, though.
If he'd have stayed on his feet, they wouldn't have stopped him until he crossed the Mississippi. When you get a high five from him, I bet you know it.
Probably hurt your hand for about a half an hour.
You know, he's such a nice guy. And we were in Houston for the Lombardi Award a year ago when he was one of the 5 finalists.
Got a face mask, number 18 of the kickers, after the ball was returned. Got an illegal block by the receivers. It'll be the receiver's ball at their foul.
Now they'll mark that one off. There's Mike Tomczak, the backup quarterback for the Bears, the rookie from Ohio State. Flanker screen to Morgan. No gain. We said to Perry before, I was the MC, it was a black tie affair there in Houston, and said to him, now I'm going to start kidding you about your nickname. I'd never met him before. I'll say, you're up in your head, and I'll say, now that's where you have all your ice cream, and you got some ice cubes up there, and then I went to his chest. That's, there's some milk and a couple of 6-packs in there, and when I got to 3 pounds of bacon, he picked me up by the belt buckle and lifted me right off the ground and held me there, and with that big, wonderful grin of his. You can see how endearing he is, and for him to do what he's done on offense has really captured the country. Grogan under pressure has to throw quickly, and it was Waxter in on top of him along with Tyrone Keys. Stephen Starring at the other end. Many thanks. Joe Costanzo is the premier statistician in the business and in our booth throughout the course of every weekend. Joe, many thanks for all your help. Fran Bellini, Jimmy Byrne and his clan, Chris and Caven, John and Steve, John Rice and Bob Sly, thank you all. NFL 85, boy, it's going to be fun. You suppose we'll be able to get Refrigerator Perry and Ditka? Well, we're going to try to, and Bob Costas going to be down in the Bears locker room. We'll get their reaction. Intended for Fryer. The toughest job in all of sportscasting is the other locker room. Camarillo roots one to Dave Dorst, will let it bounce, and they can't stop it from going into the end zone, and it'll be a touchback. Thomas Sanders, a rookie from Texas A&M in there, and the quarterback is Mike Tomczak of Ohio State.
One of the questions that Mike Ditka must be asking himself now, what do we do for an encore to this season? Of course, the obvious is the undefeated season. But one of the problems he may have to face is that Buddy Ryan
has been rumored to be the next coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. In fact, it's been said that the job has been or will be offered to him shortly. And what happens to this great defense if Buddy Ryan leaves Chicago?
Oh, my. Matsui getting a good hit from Johnny Rembert. Well, Billy Sullivan, the owner of the New England Patriots. We've seen his smile during the playoffs. But those are long memories now.
I know that they're inside that tough exterior of Mike Ditka's. There's also some compassion. He's been on the losing side many times.
Suey rumbling to a first down. Now, Ditka said to us the other day, I want to justify George Halas's confidence in me. I want the old man to be proud of me. George Halas and the Monsters of the Midway celebrated the last Bears, the last Chicago major championship. What a fighter he was on the sideline. Lived 88 grand years. When he won it in 63, that man, William Perry, was 1 year old. It's been a long time for Chicago. The most valuable player in this Super Bowl 20, I voted for the right man, Richard Dent, number 95. Yes, he has done all year long, wreaking havoc in the backfield of the opposition, forcing fumbles, his sacks, the sack leader. A day of joy for Richard Dent, who fought the year without a contract and even threatened to not play in this game.
Really? Yeah. Reach for the pocketbook and the checkbook, Mr. McCaskey. I think you may need it. We look at those great pictures of George Halas, and of course, I wasn't 1 year old then, Dick. I was playing against those Bears. Well, there is some sportsmanship in the owner's department as well.
Final 2 minutes, 46-10, the Bears. Thomas Sanders from Texas A&M. Tom sack to Sanders. And the high-stepping rookie is into New England territory at the 49 with a minute to go.
Well, that's been one of the secrets of this Bear defense. With all of their sophistication, they just won't beat themselves. And you go and watch their practice, you get a sense of why that is. They spend a lot of time out on the field. They have one of their meetings out on the field in what they call a concentration drill. They walk through very carefully to make sure that they don't blow their assignments defensively.
Mike Singletary, the genius on the field in running that difficult defense. And this probably the last play of the game. Payton, Mike Ditka, hungry Chicago, finally champions on this January day in New Orleans. 46-10, the final. We'll get the Bears' reaction when we return to the Superdome in New Orleans. Chicago Bears are champions of Super Bowl 20. A commanding performance, 46-10, and the long drought in Chicagoland is over.
And I'm sure there's great pain throughout the New England area as they sense this shattering defeat. It wasn't just a defeat, it was a shattering defeat, Dick. And, you know, the interesting thing for me, so much of what happens in a game is established in the opening tempo. And it looked like New England was going to get off to such a good start. They had the chance, they got the fumble. They had a chance at 7 points. They ended up with 3 points. But then things just fell apart as the Bears just attacked them and took the momentum away from them and then never looked back.
Well, they're going through the ritual now down in the Chicago Bear locker room of a prayer, and Mike Ditka with a word to his team. And as soon as we get word, we'll go down to Bob Costas, and we'll give the presentation of the trophy, the Lombardi Trophy, to the Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears. There's the jubilation in the Chicago Bears locker room. Let's go down to Bob Costas.
All right, Dick, thank you very much. Standing here with Commissioner Pete Rozelle, the chairman of the board, Edward McCaskey, the president of the club, Michael McCaskey, for the presentation of the Lombardi Trophy. The commissioner.
Well, Ed, you're, of course, Virginia's husband, the daughter of George Halas. The Monsters, the Midway, have really returned. With the biggest win in Super Bowl history, only one loss in a 17-1 season. I guess in at least one respect, it's probably well that you won, because otherwise the person who founded this league, George Halas, might have come back and taken his league away from us.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. I'd like to say that on behalf of Min Halas, Muggs Halas, Coach George Halas, I accept this trophy with pride, and I present it to Michael McCaskey, our president, who led us through this year of victory. Michael, the trophy is yours to thank your people.
Thanks very much, Dad. Thank you, Commissioner. This is only possible when a lot of people in the Bear family put out their best effort. So thanks to a great group of players, a superb coaching staff, a real strong front office. This is ours. We're going to try and do it again, and this is it, the Super Bowl trophy. Thank you.
Mike Ditka, the head coach of the world champions. Back in 1940, the Bears beat the Redskins in a title game 73-0. This wasn't quite as devastating. It'll have to do. 46-10 for the 46 defense. Congratulations, Mike.
Bob, his birthday would have been on February 2nd. This is a fitting birthday gift for Mr. Halas.
How often during the game did you think of George Halas?
I always think of Coach Halas. It's because of him I'm here.
Last year in the NFC title game, you lost to a San Francisco team that went 18-1, same as your team this year. You've either coached or played against Lombardi's Packers, and you've been with Landry's Cowboys and Noel Steelers. How does this team rank with the great teams of all time?
Well, give us a few years. We'll be able to tell you a little bit better. Not 1 year.
At what point during the season did you sense that your team had greatness within it?
I think when we pulled together in San Francisco, that was the first time. And then I think when Jim went down and Steve came in and we played the great game against the Cowboys, I thought we were a little bit better than average.
Who gets the game balls today?
Everybody in the organization. That's Mike. It's going to be expensive, but we're giving one to everybody.
We did it before, but it stands for the strength of the organization. Everybody in the organization gets one.
Did a great job.
Before we let you go, Mike, you played on a championship team 63 with the Bears, Super Bowl winner with the Cowboys. How does it compare being the coach of the Super Bowl champion?
Well, it's the greatest feeling in the world to be part of a winning organization. It took a few years to build it, but I think we're going in the right direction, and good Lord willing, we can keep it up for a number of years to come.
If you had a few seconds to address the fans back in Chicago, what would you say?
It was a long wait, but it was worth it. Long wait, but it was worth it. I tell you, a lot of dreams have been fulfilled, and a lot of frustrations have been ended.
We'll be back with more from the Happy Bears locker room champions of Super Bowl 20 in just a moment. But first, back upstairs to Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen.
All right, Bob Costas, and typical of Mike Ditka, very much a reserved acceptance. He still is looking ahead to the future. The Bears are Super Bowl champions.
Jim McMahon, Jim, I see you've added yet another headband. When is the supply exhausted?
Tell you what, I had a bunch of headbands sent to me this week, and sorry I couldn't wear them all, but you know, I appreciate everything that the fans did for me this week. You know, there was a lot of controversy and stuff, but I tried to put it out of my mind and let us play. And tell you what, this team is one hell of a football team. I'm proud to be associated with these guys in this room. And you know, I'd like to thank my family. You know, they put up with me all week, and my parents. Thanks, I love you.
You mentioned some controversy. Are you pleased with what you perceive as your image across the country? Is it accurate?
No, it's not accurate, but I can't do nothing about it now. You know, I'm out here to help this ball club win, and hopefully I did some good things today to help us win. I try to put all other stuff out of my mind and just play football, because that's what I'm here for, and I think the score proved it.
How much fun out there today?
I tell you, it started off a little rough. I screwed up. I called the wrong play when Wally fumbled. That was my fault. And other than that, I think we played pretty well on offense.
What was the play supposed to be?
Well, it was supposed to be a slant play, but to the other side, and I just had a mental lapse, you know, early in the ball game. Just one of those things that shouldn't have happened and did, and we just overcame it.
What were some of the comments made in the huddle after you had the game in command and you were having some fun out there? What was it like in the Bears huddle?
Well, it was fun in the huddle. I mean, we just wanted to, start running the football and get some time off the clock and go home. I mean, it was great. It would have been great to score another few points, but, we'll take a win, and I think we proved to everybody around the nation that this football team belongs where we're at right now.
There were some occasional hard feelings out there between Bear players and the Patriots. You were involved sometimes. What was that like? What words were exchanged?
I think once you get down like they got down, it was just frustration set in. There was a few cheap shots thrown and a lot of words being thrown back and forth. But that's pretty much that's football. We just didn't try to get involved with it. Just go ahead and keep playing, put the pressure on them, and here we are.
Will they be doing the Super Bowl shuffle in Chicago tonight?
I'm sure they will. I'm going to be doing a little shuffling myself. That's why I want to get out of here.
Shuffle on down to Bourbon Street?
No, I'm going to stay away from Bourbon Street. I got some family here. I'll spend some time with them and relax. Got an early flight in the morning.
Congratulations, Jim.
Thanks.
Let's go back upstairs to Dick and Merlin.
Yeah, almost swallowed his tobacco. I'm not sure anyone's going to believe that he isn't going to shuffle tonight. Jim McMahon, one of the many stars, the gloved quarterback.
The New England Patriots knew it was over early, so there wasn't that last-minute pain, yet they had to suffer through an entire second half, knowing they were a beaten team by the Chicago Bears. But, boy, what a winning coach they had. Many feel he was the coach of the year. Raymond Berry. Ahmad Rashad is with him now.
All right, thanks, Dick. Coach, nothing went right. You guys got a turnover early in the game, and after that, nothing much went right.
Well, I think the Bears won the game on the field where it counts. They performed offensively, they performed defensively. They had kicking game, they didn't have to kick much, but they had the right defense at the right time, and they, I thought played a great football game. Our football team has been winning games the same way the Bears did today, knocking the ball loose from people and getting the football. And I'm really proud of our football team. They've just come so darn far over such a hard road this year and played as consistent a football as any team I've ever been around. And I just don't think there was one more darn thing we could have done today.
Well, now, you guys are known for a running team, basically, but you came in the game and all the first few plays were passing plays. What was that strategy?
Well, I wanted to establish the fact that we need to throw the ball. I didn't think we could come into the game and cram the ball down the Bears' throat. And getting our passing game going, I thought was really important to getting some balance back in our offense.
Your impressions of that Bear defense, they really impressed me. Your impressions?
Well, they started out consistently this year, going back to 1984. They have played tremendous football. They've been very fortunate on injuries. They've kept the same guys healthy, and Buddy Ryan does a great job of preparing them, mixing his scheme, and they do a heck of a job executing it. It's the best defense that we've faced this year. We faced him twice.
What about Tony Eason? What was your decision to take him out?
Well, we were a quarter and a half of football, and we hadn't completed a pass yet, and we weren't getting anything going, and we were down 20-3. And it's the hardest decision that, I've got to make because, Tony and Steve Grogan both, by their tremendous performance this year, have gotten us here to the Super Bowl. And I have great confidence in either one of them. And I just determined, early in the year that with those two players that if one of them is a little bit off early in the ball game, not doing too well, I just feel like I've got to try the other one, and so that was my decision today.
All right, Coach, I know it sounds like a hollow statement, but congratulations on a fine season.
Thank you, Alman.
All right, now over to the other locker room with Bob Costas along with Walter Payton.
All right, Ahmad, and you don't have to see the number 34 jersey to know that this is Walter Payton. Walter, was there ever a time during your long career while you were performing so brilliantly and your team was at a level beneath that you felt that this dream would never come true?
Well, you try not to think about it. During the off season when you see people playing in the Super Bowl, you wonder and you say to yourself, are you ever going to get there and see what it feels like? And then it pushes you a little bit harder during that off season to work to try to get there the following year. This team had their minds made up after losing to San Francisco last year that we were going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Can you describe the feeling for you personally?
Right now, it really hasn't sunk in. I don't feel anything. It's one of those things where when you have it in your mind for so long, what it would be like, and then after the actual event happens, it tends to take away from it. Right now, I'm still a little bumped and bruised from the game, and it really hasn't happened yet.
Did you ever have so much fun in a football season? Not just the winning, 18-1, that's obvious, that makes it fun, but the cast of characters and the feeling surrounding this team.
Well, I think the reason we were 18-1 is because of that. Having different personalities, and yet still people with the same common goal in mind, and also people to break some of the pressure away. You got a guy like the refrigerator coming in, Jim McMahon. Nobody knows what he's going to do from day to day. And on the defense, they're coming up with something new every day. So it's made it very easy for us to play at the level we've played this year.
Quickly here, you're already the career rushing leader. Now you have a Super Bowl. In terms of goals, is Walter Payton's career complete?
Not at all. I would like to end up with 18,000 yards.
A little over 3,000 to go, right?
That's right. That means another 3 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more from the Bears locker room as we continue with our coverage of the postgame show, Super Bowl 20 from the Superdome in New Orleans. All right, we're back now with the game's MVP, Richard Dent, and William the Refrigerator Perry. And first of all, I'm warning you guys, either one of you tries anything funny, you'll pay for it.
Hey, you still have some more left in it. Really?
Still have some more left in you, the fridge says. Richard Dent named the MVP. Contract difficulties earlier, and you talked about not playing in this game. I guess you're glad you didn't pass it up.
Well, I wasn't planning on passing it up. You know, people in Chicago and my mother and father, I'd like to say hello to Mary Dent and my father, Horace Dent, and I'll be seeing her in Hawaii pretty soon, but I couldn't pass up an opportunity like this. You know, it's not often you get here, and, you know, I mean, what can I say, really? I mean, I really appreciate, I tell you, I'm all mixed up right now, but I got a ring. I wear size 11. Chicago will be home, have a parade ready, and see you guys later.
Brian Holloway, he's going to the Pro Bowl, but he couldn't handle you today.
Well, coming into the week, I knew I was going to see this guy twice, you know. I said, well, let me get the first week done, and the second week, you know, it might be a little easier. But it's probably not. You know, we get over there, some guys play, some not, but we've been enjoying it. You know, this week, Mr. King, his birthday, and then him having his day, and, you know, him having a dream, you know, and that's the dream that I had. I had a dream that I really felt that I could really be MVP, and I felt that way all throughout the week for the last 2 weeks, and I was just so anxious to get here. And, you know, it came true, and, you know, that goes for kids. I mean, if you have a dream, you can really get there if you want to, but you got to be a believer to have success like you want it to be.
Congratulations to Richard Dent, the game MVP, and now we turn to the fridge. Not just a football player, but an American folk hero in 1 year. Can you sum it all up, what this season has meant?
Well, I would thank Coach Dicker for, you know, for giving me a chance to play on offense, and my wife Sherry, and my mother and father. But you know, I can sum it up in a nutshell. But only thing I sum it up is as it is. I just thank Coach Dicker for giving me this chance to play on offense, and I thank the Chicago Bears for drafting me number 1.
Now, we're going to take a look at some plays. Now, they put the pass play in. It didn't exactly work. This may not be that play. You're blocking on this one. Let us know what happened.
Oh, I was just a fake dive, and just whoever came my way, I just supposed to, you know, block him and just keep on going. So, you know, Jim McMahon can roll it in, so he did, and he scored.
All right, let's see what happens on this one. You carried for a touchdown at one point, and you also attempted to throw. Here's the TD.
Oh, yes, that was H44 off the left side, and Coach Dicker called that play, and I was just overwhelmed about it when he called it. I was so happy because I thought I was going to get out there and block for Walter and just knock another linebacker down.
You realize you're ahead of Walter Payton in lifetime Super Bowl touchdowns?
Oh, no. Walt deserves all the credit about the whole thing, and I just wanted Walter to he deserved this game, and it's for him.
What happened on the attempted pass?
Oh, it was a pass. They called 39 toss, your fullback pass, and I was rolling out and everything, and just I was supposed to remain like a running ball, then look up for Emory Moorhead. If he wasn't open, I was supposed to just chuck it and run it, so I did. So I didn't want to take a chance of throwing an interception down there.
You mentioned Coach Ditka, how thankful you are to him. What's your relationship like now with Buddy Ryan, the defensive coordinator who criticized you and publicly early in the year?
Well, you know, you can't say too much about Buddy. Buddy was, he said that just up in Platteville just to motivate me, just to get me going, like he said, light a fire up under me and see what I can do up there and see what he learns from me. But you know, it didn't work. But the whole year long, I've been playing, and he was liking the way I played. So I started 8 or 9 games, and Buddy Ryan he's just a great all-around coach. And Buddy, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't leave, stay right here with us.
All right, last question. Here's the man who has captured the imagination of America, 1 year on the scene, and as we said already, a folk hero. How does the fridge sum up the 1985 season of the Chicago Bears?
Defense played great. The offense played great. The kicking game played great. We all played as a team, and we won as a team. And that's summed the whole thing up.
Well, Dick and Merlin, when the offense plays great, the defense plays great, the special teams play great, you win the Super Bowl. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, good job, Bob Costas. Normally you have to wait till the next morning to look at the final statistics in a Super Bowl game, but we've gathered those for you, and they do tell the story of this 46-10 win.
Actually, they don't tell of the total domination because the Bears were willing to give up some yardage late in the game. But look at the time of possession. The Bears rarely allowed New England a chance to even handle the football.
That was true to their character all year long. They were number one in the league in holding on to the ball.
And the Bears also were able to turn around that turnover number. They forced more turnovers for New England than any other team has been able to do. In fact, more than they'd had in 3 games.
Total yards, 400 to some 100. You were in that locker room, wins and loses, but the big ones at the end of the year, you usually were defeated.
We lost. I'll tell you, the leaders come out of that locker room, but Dick, to me, the season ended just as they had dreamed it would end in Chicago. It ends with fireworks and celebrations and everybody enjoying this special moment, which they may never have a chance again. For New England, it was a Cinderella story, only it ended at 12 o'clock. There was no prince.
You know, we said the underdog is part of Americana. Richard Dent was the 203rd player picked in the draft. He's the most valuable player in the most important game in pro football today, as the Chicago Bears have won this Super Bowl championship.